your life station. Whether it was upgrading from a single bed to from garden flamingos to expensive statues, or adding a second floor, it never failed to supply me with that sense that the needle was moving forward. But what if we took that to the extreme and started out with nothing, just standing in a one-by-one tile home? There are a lot of varieties of this challenge, but here are my rules. 1. No going outside. That means I need to be surrounded by walls the entire time. 2. Buying and building are allowed, but you still need to be surrounded by walls the whole time you're playing. And 3. No jobs are allowed, and the only way to earn money is through common household objects. Our protagonist is Timothy Smole, inhabitant of the tiniest house. To set everything up, first I cleared out most of the home's lot, making a blank canvas for what was to come next. It's easy enough to construct a one-by-one single square house, but how do you get inside of it? With a door, of course. It may not be a very good door, but it's our door. I walked Timothy Smole into the home, but realized that something was missing. Well, not just something, a lot of things. While you could technically inhabit a one-by-one square home, the only possible action inside of it would be to stand perfectly erect and stare at the wall, or perhaps sleep while standing up. It would be uncomfortable, but it would be possible. In The Sims 1, you simply can't place a table or furniture and somehow squat atop it in the space between the tabletop and the ceiling. That would be ridiculous. So in the interest of getting our protagonist started, I decided it would be in the spirit of the challenge still to give him one tile to stand and one more for activities. But no more than that. And that's all we'll need anyway. So with my home technically doubled in square footage, I placed a table and a genie lamp. Rub-a-dub-dub, it was time to rub. Not only is there a chance of a genie, it's certain. And to be fair, if you live in the unventilated darkness of a 3-foot by 6-foot sheetrock enclosure with no exit, the only thing that could improve your fortunes is magic. But relying on the spurious generosity of occult demons is laden with risk and
I shaved my beard. I've been meaning to shave. I've just been so focused on this, I totally forgot about basic, hygiene. So don't get like that, okay? Don't do what I did.
And friends or family. I could explain the risks and benefits of each of these selections, but it's better if you just witness what each does for yourself. Genies are bumbling and unreliable people, and cast their spells right only, less than 50% of the time. I would just have to get lucky at first, and then I could take it from there. And so it came to my first wish, work or leisure. If I picked work, I might gain some skills, which wouldn't really help me. But if I picked leisure and I got lucky, then there'd be a free item I could sell.
There you go.
I had literally nothing to lose.
Thank you.
Jack.
Yeah, I was gonna keep it simple. Like, I wasn't gonna do half of the stuff I was doing. But after I've been watching so many videos of one-day builds from Adam Savage, and he actually had a few videos on the Proton pack you can buy, the Hasbro, HasLab branded, and the Spirit Halloween branded stuff. I realized I'm already building it, so I might as well build this how I'd like to see it. Because, I don't know, the Proton pack is pretty special to me, because not only was it the very first, one of the first videos on my YouTube channel, I'm also a really big fan of Ghostbusters in general. So I would love to make this how I imagined making one when I first, made my first one 10 years, maybe almost 20 years ago now. It feels like 20 years ago, but yeah. So I'd love to. I would love to really make this how I want to make it. So what I'm doing right now is I'm adding quite a bit of features to it, actually.
And I continued inching out the square of my
property. See how this goes.
Technically, here comes that word again, still inside of my house, despite the fact that the structure itself was growing like an expansive multicellular organism. In only 3 days, I had progressed from a 1x1 to a 2x2, and now a 3x3 plot. But we couldn't just keep growing exponentially. That's not sustainable. Our protagonist needed sustenance, or he would die of starvation, loneliness, and
so in this case, I gave it the ability to be taken apart a little, just like on the official Hasbro licensed Proton pack.
On which to store the new genie lamps. There were going to be a lot of
that's
them.
why you see the cyclotron now, just chilling here.
Every dollar gets reinvested
So
back into
that.
the company to buy more genie lamps, creating a massive, unsustainable bubble that eventually crashes the stock market. This is why we can't have nice things. I lived frugally. I slept on the floor and used garbage for a bed. There was a lot of it too, and it provided good cushioning. After all, I was consuming 6 bags of potato chips per day, and there was no way of getting rid of the garbage. So I managed the space around me, and I consolidated
So what I'm
it
doing
into
right
2
now,
piles. The next day, when I wished for money, I received a pot of gold.
is I'm moving a lot of stuff that was located in here, this doohickey, and moving it into the cyclotron area. Since you can open it, I might as well put it there for maintenance and updating stuff if I choose to. So
don't worry about it. One sim can take out that kind of fire, no problem. If it's more than one tile,
where did I put my?
I bought a garbage disposal, put the trash inside.
Oh yeah, I plan on doing the whole entire Ghostbusters, getup. PK meter, ghost trap, ecto goggles.
The home grew, and I put space between objects.
I actually ordered my patches. I actually ordered some patches as well. And those came in. Awesome. Gotta iron on the Ghostbusters insignias on the sides of my flight suit, or the overalls I ordered. And of course my own name tag, Happy Hour, because that's my nickname. I tried to put Tailman, but unfortunately they don't allow numbers. No one allowed numbers, at least I could, from any vendor I could find on Amazon, so I just stuck with my other nickname of Happy Hour, so it's no biggie.
1 week, by the time I got up to 7 or 8 genie lamps, I was a busy man. My schedule was packed. There was hardly any downtime to spare, in fact. One time, the genie even set the garbage in the street ablaze. I sealed in a tree because it was getting lonely and I wanted a pet. And after 2 weeks, there were more lamps than a single man could possibly hope to rub in one day. I decided to add blue carpet and blue wallpaper to the house. I expanded the home backward toward the river behind my property, moved the plants to the yard, and installed windows.
I just needed my
look at the river, even if I couldn't dip my foot into it. This was a good-looking house, and I availed myself all the amenities.
Yeah, I'm excited, dude. I'm just waiting for the overalls to come in. So hopefully that's soon, and I hope it fits me, because if not, either I'm gonna have to lose a lot of weight fast, or I'm gonna have to find one that fits. So like, one of those two. It's gonna have to happen.
Somehow automate my tasks to concentrate on the lamp rubbing for me while I enjoyed the fruits of their labor upstairs.
That's
By
not
day 50,
soldering
I
iron.
finally had enough wealth that I had made it. I had finally achieved the American dream, a home overflowing with offensively expensive items.
So what I'm doing now
The fires
is,
were becoming out of hand. Something had to change. I needed help.
so what I'm currently doing right now is moving everything, like I said, from that thing to this. So the only things in here is just it's just wiring in there, which is no biggie.
He worked on chores, while I worked on sitting in a hot tub and watching TV. At first, it was the source of inspiration and free time, but I began relying more on labor-saving technology with the purchase of Bonehilda, the skeleton servant. So after my hot tub got too hot and burst into flames, I struggled to deal with the increasingly risky fires of more than 2 squares, almost certain to immolate your sim if he tries to extinguish it. Where were my robot butler and skeleton servant when I most needed them? I was doing all of the hard work. I was the one risking my life to put out those fires. Blue paint, unfortunately, isn't fireproof, despite the fact that you might make a case for why it would be, right?
Okay.
The truth is that you need people in your life. Sanguine people with red flesh and blood who make you laugh or cry or even get angry at you some of the time. Without people, you'll die of loneliness. They say there's another family living at 10 Sim Lane these days.
Okay.
The Dingleberries, they're called. And they have each other. After they bore witness to the horror show in the front yard, the first thing they added was a front door. They considered keeping those antiques they discovered in the lower floor of the home, but the mom protested. She wasn't into collecting and thought they smelled like ash. It still stands there like Ozymandias. Anyway, that's what I think would happen if you tried to keep yourself surrounded by walls all the time in The Sims, or if you tried to play through with just one item. Last minute shout out to YouTuber friends Spiffing Brit and Call Me Kevin, who coincidentally did Sims challenges very similar to this while I was trying mine. But I thought that they came at it from even more interesting angles, so go check out theirs as well. Lots of fantastic videos that way. I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. A major thanks to my patrons, who are rubbing their genie lamps in their homes right now.
What the heck?
Playing The Sims always gave me this sense of progress that every day you were making strides to
improve. Okay, there we go.
I've fought a long time to win our galaxy back.
Can you turn my vocals up?
In The Sims, quitting your job and pursuing a creative passion for a living is an exciting adventure. But is it possible to survive living off the sales of your paintings alone? And what if you began the game as a starving artist without a dollar to his name? I decided to put this idea to the test. Every Sim has a set of skills: body, creativity, cooking, logic, mechanical, and charisma. Some of them help with career tracks. Others improve the quality of meals. And some of them, like creativity, can be used to actually earn money from household objects outside of the working world. For example, a Sim who's good in mechanical skill can craft garden gnomes and sell those. Or the subject of today's test, a really creative Sim can stay home from work and earn money by painting all day, then selling the paintings instead of showing up to a job.
There we go.
Meet Jebediah Dingleberry, hopeful artist, embarking on his exciting journey without a dollar to his name. His only possession? A single easel. When you start off with your Sim, all stats are 0. Your needs are met. It takes about half a day of labor to finish a painting, during which time you gain artistic skill. Seems like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, if it weren't for the fact that the first painting sells for $0. Because we had no creative skill to begin with. After a full day's work, 24 hours.
Oh my
we
god.
sell our second painting
Where's my
for
lighter?
3 simoleons.
You
But
hearing
still,
me?
not enough to survive by any means. Life is tough, and artists who are unable to
Oh, that
entertain
stupid
anyone
box,
have it even
okay.
tougher. Unfortunately, this
I
means
need a
that
lighter.
Jebediah
Man,
will
of
inevitably
course.
die of starvation. The rules of this challenge are 1, no jobs allowed, and 2, no spamming the genie lamp because it makes the game too easy. Fortunately, for every new resident, a magic man delivers some supplies worth a bit of money. Combining this with the vast $3 profits we earn from our paintings, we renovate our home and prepare to meet death bravely. Although this generation of Jebediah the First couldn't survive on art alone, what if Jebediah Dingleberry had left behind an heir? Meet Jebediah Dingleberry II, almost exactly the same as Jebediah Dingleberry I, suspenders and all. Perhaps aside from the new and unique selection of hat, picking up right where his father left off, let's see if Jeb II can outpace his father in the economic rat race and achieve his own version of the so-called American dream, move out from his present state of living into a slightly less bad one, ready to hand it off like a baton to the next generation. Unfortunately, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and what started out with the best intentions quickly devolves into repetition of his father's mistakes. Jeb II, motivated by his father's grave, which he keeps beside his hand-me-down easel as a reminder of what will probably become of him, too, paints only a little better than his father and is still stuck in the economic trap inherited from his dad. But there's a silver lining. We can keep relying on the fact that we get a free delivery of magical furniture every time a new generation inherits the property. So although Jeb II will also die, he too will pass down a couple $100 more worth of furniture.
Alright, I found the
from his
lighter.
own heir. So it continues, and maybe you can feel it deep in your own bones.
Ooh,
too.
that'd be cool.
That timeless struggle to become better, to build on the foundation.
Oh
your
yeah,
own
the
father left
compensator
for you,
and
your father's father,
Samurai
and
Edge
your
send it back.
father's father's father. You know how this story goes. Jeb III's life was brief and regrettable, but not as brief and regrettable as his dad's. And with every line, there's always that strain of hope that somehow keeps it together. Like 50 Cent once said, get rich or die trying. So the generations pass. If we cannot evolve,
if I can give an example, or not example, some
tip. Foundational meaning to an otherwise bleak existence, punctuated only by the creation of
I think the best way to make a extended mag really is just to make a magazine, but then like over measure it towards longer by like, I don't know, 5 inches, and then you got yourself an extended mag. That's literally it. Like make as if you're making a standard magazine. And then measure like 5. So once you hit the, make a trace of the base plate when it hit, or when the magazine is inserted, then extend it by like 5-6 inches, however you want, and then cut it there. And then now what you do next is you take another piece of cardboard, and after marking it where it meets at the bottom of the gun, take the cardboard and make it a sheath around that for the extended.
No surprises here.
For the extended mag, and then that should hopefully give you the extended mag look. Boy, hopefully that gives you, that's what I typically do for my extended mags.
But at the very least, Jeb V was the final nail in the coffin, pun intended. He achieved fancy living and set the last foundations needed for the generation that would ultimately put it all together. Jebediah Dingleberry VI. It all comes down to this. Finally, a descendant of 5 generations of Dingleberries who has a leg up on the competition. And Jeb VI has something his ancestor didn't have. Man's best friend. Social companionship that will help him leap where his forefathers fell. It's not long before he's creating works of art selling in the 2- and 3-digit price range.
It is pretty easy. It just takes a lot of time to what's it called? To get down. That's all. It took me a few tries to get it down my first try, but after I learned the process, it's actually not too bad.
A feat unparalleled by any of his ancestors, and he uses this to make over 300 simoleons a day. No easy feat, but how would he make up for his ancestors' sacrifice and restore the family name? Or would his ancestors' unexpiated tears be forgotten, only for their gray hairs to wither and be lost down in the underworld? And so it was on that day that I embarked on a quest. The only way to valiantly restore our fortunes was to find a wife and have offspring numerous as the sands on the beach or the stars in the sky, and exploit them for their creative labor to obtain unfathomable riches, justifying the expense paid by my ancestors with their lifeblood. Fiesta time. I threw a party as a ruse to woo the local women, and how I did swoop among them. And how. There was Persephone Slagathor, or Tiffany Burb, both attractive, but veteran bores lacking in cosmopolitan substance. I cooked and I hosted, and I searched until it was love at first sight. Cassandra blew it. Was it her executive sunglasses or her sharp chrome plastic hairdo? Whatever it was, she was hot. Instant wife material. Well, I'm lying. It actually took 4 weeks of constantly inviting her over, doting after her needs because people in The Sims 1 were needy. But let me tell you, that month flew by like a minute. It wasn't long before I popped the question 5 times because she kept refusing, and eventually she agreed. 1 time is all you need, and we hit it off splendidly, like 2 peas in a pod. The bride came with a sizable dowry that added to my painting commissions. But did she know I was secretly using her to create an army of young artists, rivaled only by the tragically short careers of 90s child actors, to avenge the deaths of my ancestors and prove that artists could make money from nothing? Time would tell. Baby time. Kissing, kissing, kissing. When a mom and a dad love each other very much, and the dad wants to abuse the family unit to force his children to paint and earn money, a baby is made. Young Dingleberry. I took care of the child, and for 3 days I boxed out Child Protective Services whenever they attempted to confiscate my infant. I know this is getting really convoluted, but I wanted to find out if there was any feasible way to earn a lot of money. And I'm talking a lot of money in The Sims, from art alone. We're not talking about just getting by. We're We're talking about abundant wealth, even if that means I need to raise 8 children and lie to them about how much I love them while subtly brainwashing them into becoming artists. So, seemingly overnight, I role changed from artist to manager. Why waste my time painting when I could train other painters to do my work for me? It's basic leverage, folks. Simply raise one child, then train the first child to raise the next child you have for you. Soon, like a developing country, we were rolling in kids, raising other kids, all the while somehow possessing savant-like genius in their artistic ability, able to fetch hundreds of simoleons for their creative work, further solidifying my income and making me a magnate, an emperor in his own right. But at the same time, it wasn't easy. I had to keep my offspring penned in and prevent them from failing out of school or joining the military, or even just deal with the nuisance of Sonny, the tragic clown, a strange and dystopian entertainer who makes you the opposite of happy. Anyway, it was getting to be a bit much, I have to say.
Of course.
And I thought I had proven my point. The answer is yes. You can definitely make a lot of money in The Sims as an artist without a boss, but you'll probably go on a roller coaster of death and sadness, and sacrifice at least a few of your ancestors laying down a foundation, or inherit a small nest egg from which to start. But if you play your cards right, maybe you'll just meet that special someone, and then it's off to the loony bin with you. Well, I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. A special thanks to my patrons, who are in the loony bin right now, and I'm gonna join them. Until next time. Playing The Sims always gave me this sense of progress that every day you were making strides to improve your life station. Whether it was upgrading from a single bed to a double bed, from garden flamingos to expensive statues, or adding a second floor, it never failed to supply me with that sense that the needle was moving forward. But what if we took that to the extreme and started out with nothing, just standing in a 1x1 tile home? There are a lot of varieties of this challenge, but here are my rules. 1. No going outside. That means I need to be surrounded by walls the entire time. 2. Buying and building are allowed, but you still need to be surrounded by walls the whole time you're playing. And 3. No jobs are allowed, and the only way to earn money is through common household objects. Our protagonist is Timothy Smole, inhabitant of the tiniest house. To set everything up, first I cleared out most of the home's lot, making a blank canvas for what was to come next. It's easy enough to construct a 1x1 single square house, but how do you get inside of it? With a door, of course. It may not be a very good door, but it's our door. I walked Timothy Smole into the home, but realized that something was missing. Well, not just something, a lot of things. While you could technically inhabit a 1x1 square home, the only possible action inside of it would be to stand perfectly erect and stare at the wall, or perhaps sleep while standing up. It would be uncomfortable, but it would be possible. In The Sims 1, you simply can't place a table or furniture and somehow squat atop it in the space between the tabletop and the ceiling. That would be ridiculous. So in the interest of getting our protagonist started, I decided it would be in the spirit of the challenge still to give him 1 tile to stand and 1 more for activities. But no more than that. And that's all we'll need anyway. So with my home technically doubled in square footage, I placed a table and a genie.
Leave it the same.
Dub.
I really want to show off the cardboard.
Not only is there a
personally.
chance of a genie, it's certain. And to be fair, if you live in the unventilated darkness of a 3-foot by 6-foot sheetrock enclosure with no exit, the only thing that could improve your fortunes is magic. But relying on the spurious generosity of occult demons is laden with risk and uncertainty. And any time you encounter a genie, he'll offer you a choice from a series of 2 options: fire or water,
6 stops away.
earth or air,
Perfect.
work or leisure, money or love, and friends or family. I could explain the risks and benefits of each of these selections, but it's better if you just witness what each does for yourself. Genies are bumbling and unreliable people, and cast their spells right only, less than 50% of the time. I would just have to get lucky at first, and then I could take it from there. And so it came the first wish.
Thank you.
Or
I call it.
leisure. If
My
I
cousin
picked
calls
work,
it
I might gain some
au
skills,
naturel,
which
and I couldn't
wouldn't
agree
really
more.
help me. But if I picked a leisure and I got lucky, then there'd be a free item I could sell. I had literally nothing to lose.
I like how
Jackpot.
building that
Yeah.
proton pack is
A
easy,
model
but yet
railroad
most of my
set
time
with
is spent running all these
955
wiring.
simoleons. I cashed out my winnings and used 280 of those simoleons to
Yeah,
expand the
buddy.
walls of my home. Then I sold 2 of the walls, effectively doubling the square footage. Technically,
Oh, come
I
on.
was surrounded by walls
Whatever.
the entire time. Also, technically, I bought another genie lamp. In The Sims 1, you can have as many genies as you want. The sky's the limit. There's a genie inhabiting each and every dusty lamp. Every 24 hours, I'd be able to rub my lamps for the chance at another set of wishes. At least, that was the plan. At the stroke of midnight on day 2, get it? Stroke? Because he's rubbing the... I made 2 wishes. One for Earth, that misfired and resulted in dead plants. And another for water, which shot off successfully and resulted in a fountain worth 700 simoleons. I wasn't ready for that kind of luxury yet, but I could sell it. Again, my plan was unfolding perfectly, and I continued inching out the square of my property. Technically, here comes that word again, still inside of my house, despite the fact that the structure itself was growing like an expansive multicellular organism. In only 3 days, I had progressed from a 1x1 to a 2x2, and now a 3x3.
Final set, baby.
But we couldn't just keep growing exponentially. That's not sustainable. Our protagonist needed sustenance, or he would die of starvation, loneliness, and heat exhaustion. I purchased a cheap refrigerator and made room in the budget by opting to downgrade to a cheaper variety of table on which to store the new genie lamps. There were going to be a lot of them. It's the first lesson of business, people. Every dollar gets reinvested back into the company to buy more genie lamps, creating a massive, unsustainable bubble that eventually crashes the stock market. This is why we can't have nice things. I lived frugally. I slept on the floor and used garbage for a bed. There was a lot of it too, and it provided good cushioning. After all, I was consuming 6 bags of potato chips per day, and there was no way of getting rid of the garbage. So I managed the space around me, and I consolidated it into 2 piles. The next day, when I wished for money, I received a pot of gold doubloons. But when I wished for leisure, the genie misfired, and flames erupted right behind me. You know, normally I would panic, but I figured out that if it's just 1 tile, don't worry about it. 1 sim can take out that kind of fire, no problem. If it's more than 1 tile, don't ask about that. I bought a garbage disposal, put the trash inside of it, and then sold it for a full refund. Once again, this is why we can't have nice things. The next few days, I got on that grind set. The home grew, and I put space between objects to reduce the fire hazard of living in a hermetically sealed
What the heck?
I stored the dead plants on my inaccessible backyard patio to keep a tally of how many wishes had gone awry, and I cultivated a daily routine. First, I soiled myself in the morning, then I ate in the afternoon, and then I slumbered until midnight, when genies were recharged to offer me another set of wishes. My floor was carpeted in bills, trash, and water from the failed wishes, as well as the runoff down my legs from soiling myself. Impossible to distinguish the two. After 1 week, by the time I got up to 7 or 8 genie lamps, I was a busy man. My schedule was packed. There was hardly any downtime to spare, in fact. One time, the genie even set the garbage in the street ablaze. I sealed in a tree because it was getting lonely and I wanted a pet. And after 2 weeks, there were more lamps than a single man could possibly hope to rub in 1 day. I decided to add blue carpet and blue wallpaper to the house. I expanded the home backward toward the river behind my property, moved the plants to the front yard, and installed windows so that I could at least look at the river, even if I couldn't dip my feet into it. This was a good-looking house, and I availed myself all the amenities: bed, windows, and at long last, a staircase. The staircase wasn't a very good idea, so I had to replace it with a futuristic elevator. This is all to say that I managed to create a loft of my 2nd floor to establish some sort of work-life balance. Maybe I could somehow automate my tasks to concentrate on the lamp rubbing for me while I enjoyed the fruits of their labor upstairs. By day 50, I finally had enough wealth that I had made it. I had finally achieved the American dream, a home overflowing with offensively expensive items. But the fires were becoming out of hand. Something had to change.
Okay.
I needed help. There was more than I could handle. But
Yeah,
even
it's
if I
all the
couldn't get
wiring
help from
done.
the
Holy
people
moly.
outside of my home, there was always plan B. So I decided to sell all of my
Ooh,
luxury
look at all that
possessions
wires.
and allocate the funds toward a robot butler.
This is even worth it?
Every day,
We'll
he
see.
worked on chores while I
Find
worked
out in
on
Dragon Ball Z.
sitting in a hot tub and watching TV. At first, it was the source of inspiration and free time, but I began relying more on labor-saving technology with the purchase of Bonehilda, the skeleton servant. So after my hot tub got too hot and burst into flames, I struggled to deal with the increasingly risky fires of more than 2 squares, almost certain to immolate your sim if he tries to extinguish it. Where were my robot butler and skeleton servant when I most needed them? I was doing all of the hard work. I was the one risking my life to put out those fires.
Okay, here's
Blue
the
paint,
power.
unfortunately, isn't fireproof, despite the fact that you might make a case for why it would be, right? The truth is that you need people in your life. Sanguine people with red flesh and blood who make you laugh or cry or even get angry at you some of the time. Without people, you'll die of loneliness. They say there's another family living at 10 Sim Lane these days. The Dingleberries, they're called. And they have each other. After they bore witness to the horror show of a front yard, the first thing they added was a front door. They considered keeping those antiques they discovered in the lower floor of the home, but the mom protested.
Oh,
She
no.
wasn't into collecting and thought they smelled like ash. It still stands there like Ozymandias. Anyway, that's what I think would happen if you tried to keep yourself surrounded by walls all the time in The Sims. Or if you tried to play through with just one item. Last minute shout out to YouTuber friends Spiffing Brit and Call Me Kevin, who coincidentally did Sims challenges very similar to this while I was trying mine. But I thought that they came at it from even more interesting angles, so go check out theirs as well. Lots of fantastic videos that way. I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. A major thanks to my patrons, who are rubbing their genie lamps in their homes right now.
Satisfy your iced coffee craving without leaving home. From iced coffee to cold brew style. Consistently delicious, never watered down. Meant to be iced, meant to be simple.
Beating a game always seemed like a major accomplishment back when I was a kid. And The Sims 1, developed by Maxis and published by EA in 2000, is no exception. Today I'm going back to revisit the way I experienced it as a youngster. So instead of having 100 babies or doing a rags to riches challenge, I'm just gonna see how my adult brain handles trying to beat this game for the most authentic Sims experience. So I spawned in as my Sims 1 alter ego, Mr. Ambiguous. Mr. Kanye Ambiguous. And before we begin, quick shout out to my YouTuber friend Call Me Kevin, who inspired this video. Meet Kanye Ambiguous. $10,000 in his pocket, and really 10,000 simoleons. No job. And he's starting off at a little house I purchased in northern Sim Valley. Maybe later on we'll build our own house, but for now, we don't have that kind of money. A clean slate and no objectives. The first thing I did was look for a job. In The Sims, Maxis starts you off with almost no goals or objectives.
Oh,
It's kinda
shoot.
like real life, but enough hints to
Something I ordered
extrapolate
just
what might
came
be
in.
a reasonable answer.
Hey.
You should probably apply for a job.
You should probably go
Visiting
get it
neighbors.
before it gets
Wouldn't it be nice to have
stolen
some
or something.
friends, maybe a love interest, and an empty house? Fill that up with some nice furniture, you dingus. I had a tie on, but I also had a long ponytail to show that I'm a professional man with substance. But in my time off, I'm okay with just letting it flow. I tried to prevent Kanye from wasting his time on useless activities like reading, and I had him enter the house to take care of his needs. In he went, doing normal stuff like washing his hands. Why don't you find a job, Kanye? Oh wait, there he goes. Job in the military. Yes, that's the right idea. I get the first job that you read about. Oh, amazing. Kanye has joined the military. In we went to the house to start spending money to make way for my normal life. My movements were completely normal and natural, and they didn't make anyone nervous to be around. I bought burglar alarms for every room in the house because I was paranoid that someone might try to rob poor Kanye. Then it was a bed and a barrel for a nightstand. Good old barrel to put my alarm clock on top of. A landline, since this game was made in 2000. Before you know it, Mortimer and Bella Goth arrived to greet me, so I waved at them from the door, improving my social score. Eventually, that would get me promoted in the military. And then I received an unexpected call with a surprise windfall of 1,400 simoleons. And so I bought a couch and a TV to entertain the Goths with my unexpected good fortune. And I took a trolley to the old town to adopt a dog. I named it Cat and returned home with my first real companion, man's best friend. More like man's only friend. Cat considered my entire house a toilet, except the toilet, of course, which he considered his water dish. I spent the night sitting alone at home watching TV, trying to get into a good enough mood for a promotion at work. I bought an oven, I cooked dinner, and I retired for slumber. When I awoke at 3 a.m. and prepared for work, a Humvee picked me up for military operations. Unfortunately, I wasn't happy enough to get a promotion in the military on my first day. The truth was that I was a lonely man, and a poor man. I had no time for meeting other people, so maybe that was it. I made my goal to get as happy as possible.
A good tip. You're doing a lot of crapping.
Maybe then I'd have enough
wiring.
To get even happier.
Always make sure to wire them and then mark them so you know which is which, so you don't get lost later.
And so I invested my money into ordering a pizza, so that I could save the time cooking to do other things that would make me even happier, like watching TV.
Yeah, wiring stuff
for a nice hot bath. That way I could just answer
and
the when the pizza
rearranging some stuff
and focus on eating it and enjoying it instead of cooking it. It required days of labor and the purchase of expensive, unnecessary furniture to cure my depression. But I did come out of it, and I emerged, metamorphosed like a butterfly from a cocoon, promoted to elite special forces. Then drill sergeant. I even hired a maid and a gardener, since those tasks were now beneath me. Since I was such an important, muscular, charismatic army man, I even bought a bench press to develop my pectoral muscles and intimidate anyone who walked into my home. Thus, The Sims teaches persistence. Even if you keep setting your house on fire, don't give up. Keep trying to cook. And soon, I was making the big bucks in my cushy government job. And before you know it, I'd been promoted to junior officer. But the next few promotions required climbing a new ladder. The social ladder. Yes, it seemed that my Sigma male grind of lifting weights, building charisma, and staring at myself in the mirror were
tedious,
drawing to an end.
to say the
It was
least.
time to seek attention.
Tedious but
Impress other
necessary
people with how
because
outgoing I was. Look out, world. Here comes
what's
Kanye
gonna
ambiguous. I sprang to action.
what helps
I threw a party
elevate
at my
the
house to
project.
meet all the
Feed
locals.
tents further
I didn't
off.
have enough food, and I also didn't have enough chairs. But I did what I had to, and I met Eldon Hick, the man who would become my very first friend. I went to bed that night before my guests left to give them the message that they had overstayed their welcome. But before you know it, I was spending the next 12 days furiously dialing the phone to keep inviting Eldon Hick over to my house so that I could compliment him for 4 hours so that he would like me more. All until he actually became distraught every night since he hadn't eaten or used the bathroom because there was no time when I was berating him through the evening.
Hello, son,
String of
Memer.
unending
What's up?
declarations about how much I admired him. At last, I had said enough nice things to make Eldon into a permanent friend, and I received the promotion shortly thereafter. Unfortunately, when you get promoted, you need to make even more friends. It was starting to become a lot to sustain at once. Now life was turning into a labyrinth of professional checkboxes and social dynamics to navigate. Why did I need 3 friends? Just more alibis to prove that I wasn't crazy? Alright, Will Wright, master game designer, I'll play your little game. So I made my way up a dizzying array of military ranks. Flight officer, 1 friend. Senior officer, 3 friends. All the way up to commander, requiring 5 friends. What kind of person has time to be an army commander and have 5 friends?
There you go.
Every night I went to bed, dreading the ultimatum that I would usually receive from Eldon Hick or Lucas Towney, that our friendship was officially over. Then, to make amends, I'd usually just invite him over for a slice of pizza. And like that, everything was back to normal.
Yuck.
But that would make me fall behind on my weightlifting or my reading and be in a bad mood the next day at work, further distancing me from the mirage.
Oh, that's alright, man.
The
If you feel
illusion of
lazy, you
progress.
feel lazy. Some
Ultimately,
days
I
you just
decided
wanna
to hire a butler. Maybe it would help me catch up on
relax,
things,
you know.
giving away almost all of the money I was making every day just to sustain my outrageous standard of living and offensive self-improvement. Then I was promoted to astronaut. Now I needed to maintain 6 friendships. So being an astronaut was a real pain in the astronaut, if you know what I mean. So much responsibility. Even general, who in their right mind could cultivate 8 friendships? Simply too many, and for only $650 a day. So after months of deliberation,
Oh, man.
I decided to abandon my entire career to pursue my real dreams of of becoming an entertainer, a musical sensation. Maybe that was it. Now I didn't have to dote after Eldon Hick or Lucas Towney, calling them every single day to make sure they still liked me as much as the day before. Now I could throw a party to impress everyone with my musical virtuosity. Now everyone could gather round, see what an amazing pianist I had become after only 10 days of training. Me. It wasn't enough. Every day, my bills were getting more expensive.
Yeah, go for it.
Taking care of my improved home more difficult to maintain. And I hardly had any time when I got home from work to pursue any of my personal passions. All that was left was this mindless grind toward capital gains. Social standing. Anything to get my hands on a trophy that said, "You did a good job." But the target always kept moving. Until, that is, I stopped getting promoted. How could this be? I had maxed out every single skill tree. I don't know why it happened, but at some point the game just stopped promoting me altogether. No longer could I sustain an extravagant lifestyle of having a butler clean up after me, or pay the wealth tax on owning a golden toilet. I mean, I was an incredibly talented man, but I had been financially severed from the established institutions. No job could feed me anymore. So I did what I had to, and I started selling everything I owned. My VR headset, my robot butler, my fridge, my bed, and I used the proceeds to invest in the only ways I could still make a living, where the man couldn't stop me, painting landscapes and building garden gnomes. And I slept underneath the stars on the ground in a pool of my own urine, and I found it warm, inviting, and agreeable. And, ladies and gentlemen, it's been exactly that way ever since. Anyway, I'm Ambiguous Amphibian, and I'm trying to come up with a catchphrase to end these videos on, so I'll just say, until next time, stay amphibian.
Remember those wise guys who were itching to take over your turf? We helped make that little problem disappear. Get away with murder with the Advantage family. We put a hit on pet parasites.
EA Games. Challenge everything. This video is about survival. The Sims 1 was extremely difficult.
Come on.
Sims fly off the rails.
Get in there,
hungry,
suckers.
Tired and
There you go.
lonely. So how challenging would it be to play the game with a complete house full of 8 children, unable to cook for themselves, hire maid and cleaning services, among a plethora of other handicaps? Who will be the most capable, powerful child? I got this idea from another YouTuber named SariaFan93. The Home Alone Challenge. 8 children, no adults. Who will survive the cops, the nefarious clown, and the inferno? Day 1 commenced with a great deal of childish activity between 7 a.m. when we began and 8 a.m. when the school bus arrived. The children attacked
sorry, I
the
didn't look at
donning
that.
VR
What's going on?
headsets and
What are you trying to
partying like
what are you
orangutans
trying to
in the
upload
jungle
to?
gym. Much to the disappointment of Mortimer and Bella Goth, their new neighbors were not at home.
I cannot even spell right now.
From 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., school is in session. Then the youngsters returned home
the heck
only
is
to
that?
impede
Oh,
traffic
I'll be right
for
back.
the
I almost forgot.
angriest of
Got a
bus
package.
drivers. It's all your nightmares in one. 8 children, unsupervised, like a psychological experiment in anarchy. The girls participate in team and relationship building exercises. Pushmeat and Flapaboo read books together. Octavia sits on the couch and stares blankly at both of them, not reading. This is neutral behavior, not really productive, but not destructive either. I've decided to just observe the children and make mental notes this first day. The boys engage in physical and competitive recreation, climbing on the outdoor playset, playing a risky game of VR, or fighting over control of the doorway like the Panama Canal. Dukakis played with dolls alone. Maybe he wasn't talking with the other children, but at least he wasn't causing a mess either. The chips came out of the fridge. Since children cannot cook, there would be no stoving or microwaving of any kind. The only option on the menu is potato chips. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I decided to intervene and send Flapaboo to the backyard telescope, a broken and overpowered item that can make your kids from stupid to smart in The Sims. The evening continued with video games, then swimming, then video games after swimming. and concluded with a midnight snack of, yes, chips again. Finally, at 7 p.m., Dukakis, Cornbread, and Peabody decided to embark on a productive hour of finger painting, very profitable at about 13 simoleons. Around midnight, the house was a mess, and someone had broken the sink. No one took responsibility, so Pushmeat took it upon herself to swab the poop deck. It's a school night, so bedtime's at 3 a.m. The sun rose on day 2 and everyone sprang out of bed, somewhat rested, but still full of childish energy from the first day. Only Cornbread missed the bus. He spent the day peering into the telescope, looking to the skies for answers while his peers wasted their time at school. I'm not lying, if you just keep your children at home in The Sims and have them look out the telescope all day, that's basically homeschooling them. Upon arrival home, the stupid children stood in front of the bus again. After about 24 hours of a childish explosion of pleasure-filled activity, the reality of life without grown-ups begins to set in. Mood decays. The alpha male claims his territory on the other boys. Weaker betas. Peabody is a slob. I decided to have Flapaboo call in a pizza to help rally the children, who are incapable of preparing a large meal to feed one another. I also called the cops to make sure we could get support in case anyone attacked the house. It was becoming clear to me that well-behaved and upright children like Pushmeat or Cornbread were capable of a productive existence in the adult world, able to act convincingly mature on the phone and receive pizzas from delivery men, or even just take care of the other children. On the other hand, maniacs like Huckleberry spawned chaos by staking claim of a corner in the bathroom, like a troll under a bridge, and prevented the other children from accessing the shower, sink, and toilet. Garbage piled up. There was still a child in the pool at 3:48 a.m. Dawn rose again on the third day. Dukakis ordered a pizza an hour before the school bus would arrive. Lunacy, but also a pretty baller idea. The school bus came and went. At 3 p.m., the unwashed and unhappy children arrived home to discover the arrival of Sonny the Tragic Clown, a classic Sims NPC, the nefarious visitor who arrives when you and your Sims mood drops too low. Most clowns cheer people up. Sonny is a real Debbie Downer. He upsets people by trespassing and participates in suspicious, borderline illegal activity. It started with innocuous but creepy behavior, like leaning over people's beds and coughing on them, or standing in a vital doorway and crying. He's annoying, and he makes everything worse. Bounded neither by night or day, at 3:53 a.m. he was still active, party bombing the kids and disturbing everyone's slumber, then obstructing more pathways with his stupid clown body. I tried trapping him in a room with panels of sheetrock. Too bad. He teleported away. What about separating the children's bedrooms? That might work so he couldn't...
That was good timing too. It's funny how it came in through while I was streaming. I ordered some potentiometers for this.
Physically trap people in their cells by crying and coughing in front of them, which he did. I tried to ensnare him at a pool party. I failed to trap him. What about calling the cops? That didn't work either. Law enforcement is powerless against a slippery clown. Even the children with the highest... I
know it sounds random, but do you ever have a... what's it called? Instagram?
They did better by settling down in the backyard and lying prone to rest. And so Sonny continued his reign of terror, physically preventing Huckleberry from attending school after an entire night of coughing out the window by his bedside. So after one final session of virtual reality, Huck was unfortunately forced off to join the military due to his lack of attendance and failing grades. Roaches. Garbage. When Sonny picked up the children when they arrived home from school, I knew it was time for a counteroffensive. If anything, a clown can't resist a good birthday party. So I moved the table and chairs outside and constructed a shack around them, even hanging up his portrait on one wall to recognize him as the guest of honor. Cake was purchased. Gaiety was planned. Whose birthday was it? Well, had to be, the kid with the lowest grades. Celebration. Cake eating. Sonny was seated nice and deep in the room where the festive birthday firework was launched at the carpet. Pandemonium. Several piles of ashes and unfortunate visits from the Grim Reaper later. Sonny narrowly escaped his physical demise. But, as every good Sims 1 player knows, art imitates real life. If your smile's a frown, then down with the clown. What I'm trying to say is, if you burn the portrait,
Revolver
that
vid, revolver
destroys
vid.
his soul.
Is that
Sonny
the
was finally
44
defeated,
Magnum revolver vid
gone
you mean?
forever.
That
Speaking
one?
of which, we were also down to only 4 of the remaining participants. All of the surviving children were smart, but the rough home situation had prevented them from attaining a higher GPA. Peabody had a D, and in a bad mood was in the express lane for military school. You see, even if you go to school, but you're in a bad mood, you go down 1 notch of a letter grade each day. That's just how the American educational system works, folks. Who was the most powerful
Peacekeeper.
child? I decided to interfere and
Your
turn
revolver
up the heat
vid,
in
the
this
Peacekeeper.
metaphorical oven a bit more. After all, necessity brings out the true nature of people's character. So
Peacekeeper
I squandered
YouTube.
the last of the money on ordering a deluge
What the
of
heck is that one? I
pizzas to our
totally
doorway.
cannot remember it now.
Pizza, pizza, pizza. On the one hand, this would coat the entire home in a layer of delicious cheese and allow the child capable of eating the fastest an opportunity to sprint ahead of his peers and stage an exciting comeback at school. On the other hand, it would galvanize the other children, unable to eat as fast, and starve them of vital pizza required to maintain a high GPA. So I staged this evolutionary experiment. The board was set. I demolished the entire house to have enough money for what would come next. The perfect arena to test my Sims mettle. All the best furniture. 1 for everyone. 3 golden toilets. 3 VR headsets. 3 fine chairs. 3 fridges.
Oh, okay. I remember now. Sorry.
To shield them
The
from
the,
sadness and adversity.
The Peacekeeper
With
mod.
robot
Okay, I was
butler and
like,
a skeleton maid, which child
Peacemaker,
could
okay.
pull herself back
Thank you,
from
alright.
the brink and come back without failing out of school.
no.
Conversations were had, games were played, telescopes were looked into, refrigerators were reached inside of.
Okay,
Boss
so if
Trooper
I'm gonna
saw
do
her
this-
living in short order. She couldn't take the heat. One more failing day of bad mood at school, and she was off to the academy. But what came next, I didn't see coming. Sabotage and skullduggery. Pushmeat drained the other girl for her social meter, then boxed her into the bathroom with a bad mood, so that she was the only one to go to school able to pass the class, barely with a D-. Textbook takedown. One of the most brutal backstabbings in Sims history. Pushmeat was indeed the most powerful child. Anyway, time to save. I don't know what I'm going
Alright, let's
to
go
do
check it
with
out
this
real
or
quick.
The rest of the neighborhood where I've completed all kinds of bizarre science experiments in this game. But she's destined for great things, I'm sure. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks be to my patrons for allowing a constant stream of pizza delivery men to leave Italian cuisine at my doorstep each day. I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. Until next time.
The Webb telescope is one of the most technologically advanced pieces of equipment mankind has ever built.
The Webb telescope will definitely rewrite the textbooks, and books we didn't even know to write will be written.
The Sims 2 was my favorite entry in the iconic series. A bizarre world featuring aliens, mole people, Bigfoot, tax evaders, giant bugs, and any other number of outlandish enigmas that made it so memorable. So after I wrestled it into installation on my PC over the last week, I decided I wanted to try something I had never done before. Something that would help me relearn the game after playing The Sims 1. When I entered Desiderata Valley and designed my sim, I knew I would be working from the ground up this time. It's the Sinkhole Challenge. Start in a pit deep below the earth and labor in any way possible to raise enough capital to escape back up to the wider world as a free man. But wait, there's a twist.
Okay, I'm
Normally,
looking
there's
at
no
it,
time
but I
factor to
don't
complete this goal. But
see
if I can't do it in about a year, my sim, Brad
a cardboard
Pitt,
from you.
get it? Will unfortunately advance to old age.
Let me
Would I
check.
escape?
Maybe
or die
YouTube
before
thought it was
time runs
spam
out
or
in the
something.
pit?
Let's see here.
Okay, here are the rules. This is basically a starting with nothing challenge, except it would be too easy to start in an empty lot at ground level. That's for normies. So I went about the expensive task of defying the local homeowners association and lowered my property hundreds of feet below surface level. What remained was a square that showed exactly where my property ends. I began by puzzling over some of the blaring issues that were staring me right in the face. How would I retrieve the newspaper every morning, for example? Was it possible for other Sims to fall in and join me in my apparently Sisyphean task? Those were questions for later. I simply didn't have the time. There was still daylight and much business to attend to. So the life of Brad Pitt began with some bird watching. Not
There's
the
enough
Brad
there.
Pitt you're thinking of. This is the story of this Brad Pitt we're talking about today. The
Oh!
leader of the local HOA
If it's just a
was
straight link, I
beside
think
herself.
YouTube might
Not only
automatically
had I
censor it or
changed
hold
the
it for
character
review.
of the neighborhood,
Let
but I
me
was about to
check
completely
quick.
tear up the yard. You see, when you have only $1 in your pocket in The Sims 2 and you're unable
Let me
to
check.
retrieve the
I think
newspaper
YouTube
to find a
automatically
job,
flags
you turn to the
comments that are
only
just a
method of
straight
rapidly
link without
acquiring
any sort of
capital that's
text on it.
possible.
as
Dig
a
up the
thing.
entire yard in an effort to unearth buried treasure. Untold hordes of bullion may lie beneath your very own home. So I subversively removed my shovel from my pants and began the excavation on the property that was rightfully my own. Neighbors be damned. How, after all, would they possibly arrest me? If they did, that would achieve my goal anyway. After a full day of digging to China, I discovered 4 spouts of water and fell into a surprise fit of narcolepsy. No treasure, but I uncovered 12 valuable rocks, 3 maps.
Yeah, I'm not
bowls,
seeing your
and
name
various
here.
sculptures with a combined sale
Oh, here you
value
go, Sun
of
Memer.
3,610
Here you go. I just found your
simoleons.
channel name.
Bingo. I bought the most expensive refrigerator because it's the
channel
only
has no
appliance I
videos.
required to stay
Oh, that's
alive,
unfortunate.
at least for now.
Well, I found your
until
YouTube channel, but I don't
building
see any
is
videos on it,
expensive in The
so I
Sims,
don't know what
and
you
landscaping is even pricier.
shared,
If I
unfortunately.
was aiming to escape from this abyssal fissure in the earth, I'd need to set my sights and aspirations on becoming
Yeah,
a
I have your
beacon bringer.
account.
Hence the
I have your
super
account
hot
right there.
Dress for success, even if you're a ditch digger. So I spent the first 24 hours rousing Brad Pitt from slumber whenever he fainted of exhaustion.
Okay,
At last,
so
upon the break of day 2, I found enough resellable subterranean junk that I could afford the best of beds. The colonial ironwood. Look upon my wealth. Passers-by appeared surprisingly nonchalant at the spectacle that lay beneath.
oh, I know how I'm gonna do it now.
So between days 2 and 3, I continued my excavation. Most of the time it was just garbage and worthless debris, but I eventually dug up buried treasure. I sold it for 5,000 simoleons.
Oh,
Well
say it to
within my
public.
means to build a real house instead of just camping outdoors on display for pedestrians overhead. And the great indoors. Crappy table, expensive, ornate chair, sexy bath.
Get the other video out of the way.
These I
Damn.
exchanged
So
my
you're just gonna
treasure
start
for.
commanding me now,
As long
huh?
as I kept buying refrigerators
See how it is?
stocked with snacks, I wouldn't starve. So the next step on day 3 was to build upward toward the surface. I was still living at rock bottom, literally, and with the autumn ending soon.
Ooh. Alright, let's see this. Woo, okay. Alright. Oh, it's a shorty stock. You sawed it off. Yeah, there we go. That's sick. Bam. Oh, you even made a Serbu. No, wait. Or is that a cruiser? Hold up. Wait a second. Is that treated cardboard I see? Is that what's it called? Is that CA glue on my cardboard I'm seeing? Is that treated? Oh, heck no, brother. You best not do that in front of
I
me.
need a taller house
How
better
dare
capable
you
of
offend me
withstanding
like
the
that?
onslaught of winter's snows. Perfection.
That's
Built
sick
by
though. I
day
like
4,
it.
I
That
a
was cool.
homeowner, sharing equity in that great enterprise we call America. My next ambition was to spend more time.
That was nice. I like it.
After
That
all,
was
modern
very. It's a very
civilized
clean build.
society shouldn't
You can
be
definitely
subject
tell what
to
it's supposed to be. I
backbreaking
like it.
labor to earn
Good
his
job.
living, so I
I'm happy my
reinvested
tutorial
treasure money into buying a
It's
computer
actually
and
helping you
earned
do
my
that.
keep
That is
by
crazy.
writing
I never
novels
thought,
online. The novel was
you know,
about
I would
fit
make a
with
tutorial
only one
coherent
aim,
enough for
the
people to
desire
follow
for
and
world
actually do
peace.
something like that.
In order to achieve
So
world
the
peace,
fact that
he
your gun
unfortunately
works just as well, if not better than most some of my guns sometimes. That's good. That means there's hope for me in doing tutorials for other people. That's all I'm hearing. So that's good. Thank you. You're giving me hope. Hope I didn't know I had.
To overcompensate for the void of human interaction. I was chatting with babes online, sure, but in pursuing wealth, I was beginning to develop a bad habit of
that is CA glue is cyanoacrylate glue or super glue. Sorry, I like using the actual more technical term to sound smarter. But no, CA glue and cyanoacrylate glue or super glue as you call it, they're essentially the same. I believe you can actually get accelerated for that to make it drive faster.
To buy a money tree. Yes, a money tree that I planted outside in my yard. It all went toward the purpose of making subsurface
I should probably put a thing on
seem more
enjoyable
and tolerable before I made it back up to the sidewalk and all the dreams it promised. At last the snows fell and I did what any single man experiencing a midlife crisis in his mid to late 30s on the brink of a violent fugue would do. Stayed inside and played SSX3 on my computer as I gradually raked in the dough from my money tree and best-selling novel royalties. Life is a Kafka-esque nightmare with a gradual upward trajectory. But anyway, enough side questing. I put that money to work with a third, fourth, and fifth floor, but before I knew it, I ran out of money again, and I had reached the height limit on building, still woefully hundreds of feet well below the surface. I would need to resort to greater lengths to earn.
Yeah, good job, man. That is a very nice build, man. Like, legitimately speaking, I'm not even joking. That is such a nice build, dude.
The novel was about a ladybug.
Good job. Like, legit. It functions so cleanly. It's very nice. I love it. It is a really good build.
By the mayor with a cash prize, and they all lived happily ever after. Thanks to my artistic storytelling genius, along with the supplemental income.
It's so nice, man. Like, legit, dude.
Property, I was able to do the unthinkable and raise the largest.
I'm just happy that, like I said, my questionable tutorial allowed you to do that.
An exorbitantly expensive pile of dirt.
Now, if only
dollars.
I could find my.
It wasn't the dirt I wanted, but it was the dirt I deserved. I grew a little anxious here. I was already halfway to becoming a senior.
I'm proud of you, man.
But I escaped the pit
you took a
haphazardly
haphazardly made tutorial and actually made it work for you.
Coursing through my veins, I was up the financial aspiration tree. A fountain.
But yeah, after all this malarkey with the what's it called, with this proton pack and all that, hopefully I can finally get to making that.
To raise enough money, I excavated the last of the buried treasure and sold my house with all its furnishings and possessions. This gave me enough resources and space to raise the last ground and complete the spiraling labyrinthine staircase
to make the AR-15 tutorial. So hopefully I can get that made after this.
Tower, spiraling up the staircase, and finally out the door onto the grass, where I could step foot into my new life as a free man. And so I raced up the stairs, up the other stairs, and the other stairs, and the other stairs. At last, fresh air, free as a bird, a miracle. Like discovering my legs again for the first time. Even the most mundane of tasks were a joy. Placing the newspaper in the trash. I experienced all over again the fun of paying bills, the familiar, awkward, sidelong glances of passers-by. But my time was short, and like Cinderella's coach, transformed into a pumpkin at the stroke of midnight, so too did old age ravage the youth that I began that intrepid journey to the surface. Ah, woe betide. But while there's life, there's hope, they say. I spent the last of my youth to find a job and climb that tree of aspirations, learning skills, acquiring luxury goods, and making every single day count. If I achieved enough and averted disaster,
hey, if that's how you feel, go for it, man. I don't consider myself a master, just an avid enthusiast for cardboard, but hey, if that's how you feel, shoot, put that shoe on and feel free to rock it, baby.
I could feel it in my bones, and before I knew it, I was geriatric.
If the shoe fits,
an old coupe. Ironically,
feel free to lace it up and wear that sucker. I forgot who said that quote, but it applies here for sure.
No one had ever proven the contrary. A couple shakes and I was already feeling younger, stronger, more virile. It seemed it was working. Maybe if I just drank enough until... Death is not the end. In the words of Gandalf the Grey, just another path, one that we all must take. Well, for what it's worth, the best things in life are long and challenging, and best looked back upon with rose-tinted lenses a few years later. Well, thank you for striving in your splendid life and making every moment an adventure. Thank you, Brad Pitt with 1T. And thanks to my patrons, who each have the power of youth coursing through their veins right now. I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. Until next time.
Oh, this is so stupid. So you're telling me I gotta go and do this then? Oh no. Let's see if this works. Let's see.
Precedes you. We haven't done anything heroic in years.
It all started on planet Vellum with Ratchet, a restless tinkerer, hungry for adventure.
Are we home?
Thank you, man.
Is intergalactic history.
Is that a rift?
Jack, those stupid love maxes!
I fought a long time to win our galaxy back.
Someone call for backup? Your campaign of destruction, cruelty, and wanton snobbery is over! Ratchet!
Welcome, oh master of us all. Password, please.
Why do I need a password? I'm the Emperor. How about I obliterate you instead? Ha 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 ha.
Some things leave you guessing. MailChimp eliminates the guesswork from email marketing with tools that analyze data from billions of emails to
Thank
offer
goodness.
suggestions
Okay.
to improve engagement and revenue.
Okay, this is just a theory. I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but if it does, I'm gonna be mighty.
In 2004, EA released The Herbs, Sims in the City. Do you remember this thing? Yeah, it makes me feel old to see that now. Another wonderfully bizarre spin-off from the main series that was actually available for console. Since most PCs were garbage back then, and I was only about 10 years old, this was the only accessible way to enjoy the series' quirky, intriguing world, aside from the
Okay.
equally outlandish Game Boy Advance and
Ah!
Nintendo DS
What
spin-offs,
is this
hidden gems
madness?
in their own right. The Herbs, along with
Ugh.
Bustin' Out and the other console spin-offs, firmly established The Sims on my Xbox in the mid-2000s. In an effort to return to my roots, I inserted the backwards compatible game into my Xbox 360 to embark back upon the life of Derek Urban, new resident and social nobody of Urbania. I'm not kidding, that's the name of the city. This is canon. Attempting to make the big bucks and kick it with the coolest cats in town. Maybe even find my soulmate, or at least make a few friends and learn some secret handshakes. I like The Herbs because you start off as someone I could relate to as a young person. You have no money, no identity, and you live in a sad, dark apartment. But cool guy Will I Am, lead singer of the Black Eyed Peas, and Darius, tracksuit outfitted, chain-wearing cool guy of the city, both place their utmost confidence that you, a nobody with no muscles, brains, or artistic ability whatsoever, will labor by the sweat of your brow to achieve dreams of finding friends, fame, and riches in Urbania, a testament to the value of hard work. After an adventure into the dumpster, what proceeds is a quest that encompasses 9 city districts based on real-life, stereotypical or fringe social groups, where you will gain the trust and respect of the locals, ultimately becoming the most popular, richest, and existentially confused resident to ever inhabit Urbania.
Yeah, come on.
Our adventure to achieve popularity begins at Skyline Beach, a collection of tenement rooftops bridged precariously by planks dangling over potentially fatal drops to the concrete below. It's immediately evident that I am the other. I lack the bling, the visible undergarments, and the thickness with 2 C's that make me stick out like a sore thumb on the sun-bathed rooftop. I spring to action, wooing the women with the impressive angle on my sideways cap, my visible undergarments, and surprisingly quick adoption of Olympic breakdancing technique. I suck at everything, But with enough effort and this extremely repetitive minigame, 410 simoleons, I use the money to buy more underpants, tickle strangers, and please them into befriending me. It's not long before the game is crashed and I'm back at the Xbox 360 menu. But hard work yields bling. My entire appearance has changed, and I've decided to keep my mustache the same.
Right now,
no
I am
matter
just
what
running
neighborhood
some
I may
wiring
visit.
for
I
this
socialize
Proton
with more
pack.
lookalikes, obtain Darius's social move, buy the mental machination station, and return home to complete this minigame where you have to mash the A button to become less stupid. For some reason, when I was a little kid, I couldn't move my thumb this fast.
I got first try?
So
No
I
way.
just
Hold on.
stayed poor. It's not long before we're off to Gasoline Row, home to bikers and their hogs, and it features a cool dive bar. I assimilate to local fashion, learn to repair souped-up hogs, and depart back home to complete another arthritis-inducing minigame of mashing the A button. Admittedly, all of the button mashing is strangely engaging, despite the fact that it seems entirely uninspired, and I really shouldn't be enjoying it this much. But what can I say? The animations in this game make even the stupidest in encounters
That's so
visually
sick, right?
impressive. Next
So
thing you know,
basically, I
I've
don't know
gained
why I
enough
wanted
friends
to,
and
but
established a
basically for the
reputation for spitting in the air
cyclotron,
and catching it back in my mouth, as well as
you
blowing
can
the
adjust
flames.
the brightness
It's culminated in the unlocking of Kicktail Park,
if you like.
home to Urbania's
There you go.
skateboarders, subversive, masochistic types who are admittedly the coolest
So,
bunch
that's it.
of folks in this city. I've finally established my reputation that I'm appearing on posters up around the town in a sort of solipsistic fantasy. I am the important one. As I make my way through the neighborhoods, I begin to find that tickling people is an entirely welcome gesture as an icebreaker in this town. No one really has any personal boundaries, and some people even get excited when I walk up to them and just start rapping at them. I suppose this is the norm in an urban community. Who can really say? To put it plainly, there's a lot of touching. The herbs talk with their hands. I practice rapping, four-dimensional chess, and after failing to pay my rent and a visit from the repo man, I touch base at my new home, Blankwood Apartments, shortly before riding the subway to Central Station, home to punks of disturbing countenance who enjoy physical torture. To be frank, I don't fit here, but it's exciting how quickly getting your flesh tattooed and pierced from head to toe makes it seem you lead an entirely different lifestyle. With a colander for a hat, I'm off to fabricate piercings and defeat the local villain, Urangu McBain, whose name is entirely too much fun to say, and whose primal markings belie his inability to weather the stench of my Mongo stink bomb. I attain more levels and ride the subway to the Foundry, home to the artsy hipsters, disgusting, stuck-up, erudite English majors. Wherever they move, everyone gets priced out of the neighborhood. So I attempt to blend in and do as little gentrification as possible, only when I'm surprised by the villain, Kiki Blunt, on whose lips I plant a kiss to end her reign of terror upon the dorky folks of the Foundry. The next neighborhood, Neon East, is easily one of the best locales in the game. Dress up like Goku from Dragon Ball Z, cook sushi, and play DDR. Only before leaving in one of the top 10 saddest anime departures of all time. Although it pains me to leave the gaiety and bright colors of Neon East, I need to keep moving if I want to maintain my bulbous, fragile popularity. People all across the city know that when Derek Urban arrives, it's tickle time. I tickle the black-eyed peas. I tickle the rich people. I tickle the gangsters. Wherever I turn, it's a party. And so all across the city, from tending bar on Cosmo Street to modeling at the top of Diamond Heights, home to Urbania's wealthiest residents, my vision of achieving celebrityhood comes to fruition. But what's it all worth when you still live in the worst apartment in town? You may have friends, but you can't get them all together in one place to enjoy each other. And so I discovered that if I wanted to unlock access to that most coveted of apartments, Darius's penthouse, I would need to dispatch the three villains, Harry Snivel, Kiki Blunt, and of course, Urangu McBain, who were running amok throughout the city, terrorizing Sims and stealing their money. 9 times I encountered these villains, and 9 times I struck them down through my learned social skills. Stink Bomb, Zam Shot, Chug-a-Lug, Power Chord, the list goes on. And that was when I realized that I wasn't just some nameless nobody. I was basically Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I had gone to every district in the city. I had assimilated each of their powers, having brought order and unity to the otherwise disunited city of exclusive cliques and classes. So with the prophecy fulfilled, I received a phone call on my cell phone. It was Darius, and like some mysterious deity, he called me to that appointed promised land, his penthouse, the crown jewel of Urbania. Through socializing every single person in town, I had brought order and unity to the city, and the impressive cutscene where he removes his chain with the key to his penthouse from his neck and adorns you with it like some crowning laurel is admittedly cool. Then he ascends in surprisingly Christ-like fashion into a blimp disguised to look like a subway car and flies off into the night. Now you have unlocked Darius's penthouse, the best place anyone can live in the game.
Cool.
You also have access to his secret machine, which, oddly enough, prints counterfeit simoleons. But at this point, I did what I think any other reasonable herb would do, and I installed 3 hot tubs on the top of my home there in the penthouse, meaning that my life was basically reduced to having a small existential crisis whenever I walked outside and tried to decide which hot tub to get
Thank
into.
you.
And that, my friends, is the essence of abundant wealth, meaning that I was really 2 for 3. 1, I had become the most popular sim in the city, my first goal. 2, I was wealthy enough that I could afford to stay in my house forever, inviting people over and ordering Chinese food to entertain them and stay popular. But I was still missing the 3rd piece of the puzzle. I hadn't found my soulmate. Was my soulmate the monkey that Darius had sent to live with me? Probably not. Who was my soulmate then? But maybe that's the mysterious magic that The Sims created. Spend hours in a dark room obsessing about the social interactions of non-existent virtual people, only to realize that it's done nothing but probably harm your real social life. But maybe, just maybe, there's a chance that you'll wear this wonderful world quirky mark like a feather in your cap, and you'll even meet some real-life person who also thinks that tickling and rapping at other people is a socially acceptable ritual of salutation. Anyway, I guess this has all just been to say that my childhood was better than yours, and everything was better when I was a kid. You'll understand when you get older. I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. A major thanks to my patrons who are able to catch airborne spit that they have lobbed into the air. Until next time.
You've been waiting for our year-end blowout, and Butts has our best-selling putter specially priced. Being tailor-made Odyssey, save up to $150 on a new putter. This is not a misprint. It's just plain crazy. They're going fast at Butts.
If the original Sims that released for PC in 2000 was so groundbreaking and iconic, then The Sims 2 from 2004 is what really set the series in its decidedly quirky and bizarre tone and set of themes. Genies, aliens, pirates, ghosts, used car salesmen, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. This game had everything. Secrets and Easter eggs to discover, brilliant writing hidden in every nook and cranny. Really a triumph of what could be achieved mimicking the PC experience with an original Xbox. At least, that's how I experienced it. Growing up, I didn't have a PC, so whenever they'd port the games to console, I'd get somewhat of a shoehorned experience at taking care of my Sims. So today, after playing a lot of the PC games with my adult money, I decided to sit down on my couch and relive the experience on console, trying to answer a couple questions. 1, is this game as good as I remember it? And 2, do I still have what it takes to help every Sim and unlock every location, putting the final nail in the coffin in my memory of what was honestly a very cursed and bizarre game.
There you go.
Phoned in as my Sims
Thank you.
2 alter ego.
All right,
Tried
that was the
randomizing
main
Sims
one
to get
here.
Something that looked like me, but none of them worked. So I just made myself into an alien. I dubbed myself Kevin. Cool Kevin with a K. Kevin's got sunglasses and a backwards hat to show that although he's an alien, he's not quite like you. He's a pretty cool guy, and it'd be nice to get to know him. I dubbed my tasteful men's fashion, and off I went. Our quest begins in suburbia, Rockwell Acres. Since I was stuck in the main lot, I went through the motions of the game's tutorial.
Okay, now I gotta test everything. After a major change in something, so it's good to always test it.
Filling me. Suddenly,
it
people
out.
came through the front door. I socialized with them, Felicity Usher and Ossie Madison, talking to them, complimenting them, playing sock puppets with them, impressing them by balancing a vacuum on my forehead, and accidentally slapping them with a fish. That set me back a few social points, but making up for the minor incident with yet more compliments to atone for slapping them in the face. These social interactions filled my aspiration bar and made me desire to visit a new location. Yep, that's literally the entire first place. It's just the tutorial. Fix yourself a meal and it's goodbye to Rockwell Acres and on to Shoreline Trails, home to 3 people who believe in healthy living: Farrah Moonbiscuit, Timmy Toole, and my least favorite of them, Torin Namaste. Torin Namaste is a bad person. This is the location where I first accepted my job in the field of medicine. In order to get promoted, I had to clean the house and work on my body. Every time I tried to work on my body, Torin would boo me when I was lifting weights. You know, come to think of it, I didn't like Timmy either. I prepared a meal and then he threw it out in the trash. Farrah was okay, but all in all, this location was mediocre at best. But as we move along to Cliffside Retreat, we meet Isabella.
Oh, the Micro Deagle?
Monte.
You mean this one?
Business was in jeopardy. Fortunately,
it's done.
I was both social and hot.
I just gotta upload it, record it. That's all.
Like a job for Cool Kevin with a K. Sanguine and full of purpose, I sprang to action, cleaning like a machine, scrubbing the countertops, and wiping up the piss off of the bathroom floor, repairing things no one asked me to.
Micro Eagle's right here.
I really qualified to fix them at all, but it made me feel good, so it was worth doing. And at the same time, I was working on my career to
but
become
yeah,
sole
it's done.
breadwinner. That way, no one could complain when I started running the house my way, even if it made no sense. I bought a table, and I put it right next to the table that we already owned, which was clearly much better than the one I bought. A totally redundant eyesore. But you know what? It made me feel good to do it. But those were just Kevin's desires. In the meantime, I managed the house and made Isabella into a better cook and caretaker through study of the culinary arts. I bought a fire extinguisher to put out the fires that would probably continue to happen in the kitchen. Surely all this effort would improve the Cliffside Retreat's chances at succeeding as a business. Surely sealing Patricio into his bedroom to prevent him from interfering with Isabella's rampant self-improvement might also help the business out too. I moved on from the Cliffside Retreat. It was unclear if what I had done actually even helped them, but I was learning that at the very least I could help out Sims at the next location, the HMS Amor, by lending myself as an indentured financial servant to the bizarre, sensual, and volatile desires of Nelson Longfellow, Betty Buttercup, and Hector Fromageiro. Most of this location's questline is about Betty's hot and fiery longing for Captain Nelson. There's a lot of kissing and touching, and you have to take time to help Betty build up her confidence to ask Captain Nelson to marry her. It has a heartwarming end, but I honestly don't have high hopes for their continued engagement, as every single person in this game is rampantly polyamorous. I left behind the sexy people of the HMS Amor to aid in the story of Red S. Yes, that's his name, Red S. He's living in the dilapidated ruins of an old-timey Western film set, and he's being haunted by the ghosts of his Western movie idols. This location proved problematic because I didn't have any money to take care of Red, and I kept having to pay the Grim Reaper $100 to resurrect the bodies of his theatrical colleagues from the dead. It culminates in more kissing and more touching, and another oddly heartwarming reunion involving Red being sexually attracted to a dead woman. I told you this game was a little odd. Moving on, the next location was the Orbit Room, unlocked by Billy Spector slapping the same dead lady that Red S was attracted to with a fish, then throwing a party. We're back to the suburbs, a welcome change of scenery for the Sims that's easy on the eyes. Phil Phantasm is a wealthy businessman and creative entrepreneur who owns a musical studio, but he grows angry and irate when his nephew, Turk, and Turk's girlfriend, Jessie, are mooching off of him and living in sin. Whenever Turk tries to make a creative move or breakthrough and stop being such a lazy person, his uncle, Phil, intimidates him into submission by ruthlessly pursuing Turk's own dreams and making way more money than him, then still criticizing him for being lazy. It's a vicious and toxic cycle, which was honestly kind of funny to watch. It's unclear why Phil is so alpha and dominant, but I honestly just spent most of my time in this location listening to the game's fantastic soundtrack and staring at myself in the mirror to rise to the top of the business profession. All the while, I kept selling cool-looking pictures of myself for hundreds of simoleons. It was getting to be a bit of a grind to help out the other Sims. Unfortunately, Kevin was now earning enough money in his career as regional middle manager that I was actually able to feel like I was making a difference at the next location. Unfortunately, it would actually be a very bad difference that I would make to the next people. Tranquility Falls, home to Chantal Lear, an obsessive interior decorator who's hell-bent on improving the feng shui of her surroundings. And Larry Liu, a sad mess of a man who's on the verge of complete catatonic breakdown and total social implosion, which will destroy his career and entire life. My biggest contribution at this location was the forfeiture of tens of thousands of dollars of my own money to perpetuate and reinforce Chantal's financially disastrous spending addiction. And ironically, it completely ruined the feng shui of the location. After that, in order to improve her creativity, she embarks on a sleepless, demonically possessed journey to become the greatest electric guitar soloist to ever live. And surprisingly succeeds. I told you this game was weird, didn't I? But that's why I love it. The questline ends when Larry lets loose by quitting his job, making a meddlesome series of prank phone calls, and cooking a nauseating meal for the voluptuous Candy Cook. The meal was literally oozing with green stank. Then I sat on my couch, across from her couch, and awaited hurling. For some reason, that made for a fitting cadence for me to make my escape to the next location. The alien crash
Closing
site,
the cyclotron
totally not a
assembly?
spaceship disguised as a hologram of a house. Right across from the mobile home of the most right-wing libertarian,
baby.
American, Jonas Bragg,
I gotta put
who
that in
literally patrols the front of his home in an army helmet. The questline here follows the aliens whose names are just a series of letters. XYXY and XHTF Smith, trying to blend in with normal human society by befriending Jonas, which is mostly composed of abducting and brainwashing him, while listening to a series of rants about his distrust of the government.
The tube is in, quote unquote. I'm just trying to do some loose wirings real quick. Let me see here. Wait, let me move this out of the way. Yeah, I pretty much just rerouted everything into the
10-gallon hat to show that he is a normal American.
Cyclotron area. That's gonna be fun to sort through. Good thing I labeled them up before we did that. But yeah, I basically decided to. Ooh, don't want to move this with that there. All right, so where's that one piece? But yeah, basically, for the most part, after I got everything rerouted and removed and all that, essentially speaking, it's pretty much good to go.
That sounds nice. But this couldn't be more
there we go. And then I installed just earlier a potentiometer to sort of dim the cyclotron a little, if you choose to.
Money and power is the only reasons to live. Jessica is living a rampantly hedonistic midlife crisis and is probably on the verge of marital infidelity, desiring to.
And then of course, you can now, based on the Proton pack toys that you can buy that I saw on Adam Savage's one-day builds. You can now.
Because making 12 friends when everyone is constantly deciding that they
don't
like you anymore.
You can take it out and take out the cyclotron assembly, and then you can get into the guts in here, which is where I'm gonna put everything here. So let's get to that.
I think that The Sims 2 is about partying and celebrating who you are, no matter who you are. But this game has no end, so I think I'll put a bookmark in it there for now. A major thanks to my patrons, who are completely normal humans and definitely not aliens. I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. Until next time, my friends.
Yeah, just tiny adjustments to the pack. This is my pack after all, and I've been wanting something like this, so I might as well add all the stuff I wanted. I relocated the sound module into here now.
Today I'll be revisiting The Sims Bustin' Out on Game Boy Advance.
So that's gonna be fun.
Almost never talked about, save for this one really good video by another YouTuber named Mini-Me. Watch it. Unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard of The Sims. Originally developed by Maxis and
published by EA
in 2000,
the
series went on to release for PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube in January 2003. Later that year, in December, Bustin' Out, its console-exclusive spin-off, was released for PS2, Xbox, GameCube.
Yeah, there we go. There's all that crap.
Game Boy Advance. As
there's
well as the N-Gage. Who even remembers the N-Gage? Maxis and EA didn't develop this game, but instead turned it over to the formidable skills of the folks at Kryptonite, a studio whose titles you might have played, such as Harry Potter or The Lord of the Rings, to name only a couple. With so much experience bringing 2D asymmetric gaming to the GBA, this made for a really interesting mix of talents.
So that's the switches.
Go back and revisit this favorite game of mine from youth to see if it was still worth playing. Instead of managing multiple
That's
Sims
power.
living in one house, Kryptonite
And
traded
this
out the normal
is the
household
speaker.
management
Cool.
simulator for a more scaled-back RPG, where you're just managing one Sim's hunger, hygiene, and other needs. It works surprisingly well, though, and still felt authentically Sims, staying true to all the cliches for which fans have grown to love the series. It has that je ne sais quoi. I started off as you always start off in The Sims, an unknown item. No money, no parents, and after you create your character, the only thing you know is you've been dropped off.
And then while I was work, I did start work. Well, not work. I was at work, but
after I got settled,
I started off scaling the neutrino wand, so that's about how big this thing's gonna be. And then also it's gonna have the extendable barrel, you know, when you push the lever on it. So that's what I was just, so I got a good idea how to get that started.
Happened to be his entire livelihood, after which you're permitted to venture beyond the bounds of the hayseed farm, out into the world to meet this cool, tough biker guy, Dusty Hogg, local cop, good guy, Detective Dandy Man. Or is it Dandy Man? I don't know. Everybody's name in this game is a pun in multiple ways. There's even some references that would go right over my 10-year-old self's head. Like Hester Prynne, a name that alludes to Hester Prynne, protagonist of Nathaniel Hawthorne's classic American novel, The Scarlet Letter. Seriously, this game had this outlandish and somewhat prosy strain of highfalutin Americana driving the dialogue. And I think it's his daughter, Nora Zealot, whose mother was tragically killed by the Velocirooster, mythic avian terror that runs amok through Sim Valley.
There we go.
Yes, the characters' lines and writing are just as goofy and brilliant as their names. Seriously, for
so right now I'm just running the wires through the pack.
Writing is sharp and witty.
And
anyway,
now,
as the name suggests, Bustin' Out is a game about coming of age, for all I can figure.
There we go.
Bust out of your mom's house and embark on an exciting journey of maturation toward independence and personal means.
Yeah.
Make friends,
Okay.
make a difference, and make the community
we're making
a better
some
place.
sort of
But there's
progress.
also a secret
Everything has been
where you're actually an alien whose memory has been erased, and you're trying to make it back to your homeworld. Uncle Hayseed is secretly a conspirator withholding this life-changing information from you. But you don't learn that until later. For now, once you've gained your freedom from stuffy old Uncle Hayseed, the plot unfolds in chapters.
So this
unlocked
is
by
all the stuff that's
completing
gonna go
missions
outside
for
the rear
characters
there.
with a red exclamation
This
point
here
over
is
their head.
different.
To
This
show
is-
Hayseed that I was capable of independence, I signed up for another job sliding milkshakes to the patrons of a local bar. I completed an undercover private eye mission, investigating the seamy underbelly of a local auction house for Detective Dan, and then I inherited a moped from the biker gang, clearing access to the rest of Sim Valley and unlocking my first apartment, the clock tower west of Uncle Hayseed's farm. This is how life unfolds. Move from one disgusting pigsty of a habitation to a slightly less disgusting one. First, you're living off Hayseed's couch, then out of his barn. Then you live in a clock tower. It gets nicer when you move into a waterfront villa, and eventually a well-groomed estate, owned and leased by the richest man in Sim Valley, Daddy Big Bucks. That's right, that's his name, Daddy Big Bucks. Daddy Big Bucks is a... Well, why does he ask everyone to call him Daddy? That aside, Daddy Big Bucks is a weird, cartoonishly rich caricature of the Monopoly Man. In this game, he's a fairly decent person, seeking to improve the town and just host you in his villa for a little ROI. But he also enjoys being hugged and tickled. Speaking of which, the dialogue options in this game always seem to offer the option to smooch, hug, or tickle the other conversant. I'll write it off as classic Sims wackiness. In the game's final mission, your goal is to be elected as the mayor of Sim Valley. In addition to earning lots of money to run a campaign, you need to aspire to a lofty level of popularity, which can only be obtained by hugging and tickling all in your path. But before you get to do any of that, the best leader proceeds by example. Most of the game's central conflict proceeds by you wandering around the town and finding other Sims in distress. Usually it's because their special part of town is in financial straits. Here's one example from my favorite questline. The library is closed, which is making Hester Prim very upset. She wants you to find Sims around town with overdue library books and return them. Crush the bookworms that are infesting. Yeah, that's right. I said bookworms infesting.
Oh, thank goodness.
Library. And
I needed 6.
For a grand
We're gonna be in trouble.
Library
What's up, Glenn Waters?
After you're done, you're free to use it as it's
Wait, I just said that.
unlocking access to the boundless tomes of knowledge therein, and letting you progress in other skill trees. All this naturally leads to promotions and other jobs, lets you make more money, and ultimately buy better furniture, and a pretty classic Sims experience. That is to say, I mean, it's pretty authentic to the versions of the game made by Maxis on PC. And you get all the same feelings you would with promotions, buying new furniture, and so on. Albeit with way more great writing and
I'm gonna show you real quick.
Dialogue. You know, it brings me back to the reasons I played this game in the first place.
Alright, so basically,
I mean, when I was a kid, we didn't
got the
even have a
cyclotron here.
The Sims, so I would just play
doing its things here.
Genuine article.
Up
Like
and all that.
Roller Coaster Tycoon, but it's on the original
that.
Xbox instead of the PC. Or
There's
Backyard
that.
Sports, but it's on the
And
PS2
then,
instead of... You get it, I didn't know
you
the
know,
PC.
that's all the controls. That's going to go to the neutrino wand later.
Weird old
That's going to be
technology,
fun.
Especially whenever I play on
Yeah.
the original hardware.
And then,
Anyway, that's all slightly tangential.
that's the potentiometer, so you can adjust the brightness.
Moved into the clock tower, reopened the
It's
library,
unfortunately
Mr.
it's
Prim,
very
and
sensitive,
met
so I
Daddy
can't
Big
really.
Bucks. You start to unlock
You
a
can
whole
barely use only
series of
barely
mini
even half
games
of
and
it, but
quests you
there we go.
complete for other
If
Sims.
you wanna.
These are really memorable. They range everything from a fishing game to a guitar rhythm game to my personal favorite, a cliff diving job where you can what honestly appears to be mortally wound yourself by slamming head first into the ground.
Yeah.
And the next few quests are even more outlandish and eccentric. Obtain employment in a pizza parlor for almost
There you go.
goofily stereotypically.
And then what I'm doing is I'm moving the sound
Chase.
units here from this thing here all the way into here, so it's all in one easy accessible spot. So that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Residing in an old house, the spirit of a departed Civil War veteran, and solve his riddles, all just to impress a local poet. And then you have to annoy a young, attractive lifeguard named Misty Waters. It all culminates in the utter strangeness of the final act, where you use a crowbar to pry open the basement hatch to Uncle Hayseed's barn, uncovering a goofy red and yellow spaceship. This is the evidence by which you, the protagonist, learn that you aren't actually human, but an alien visiting from outer space? And you've had your memory wiped. That was all the stuff I was talking about before. Yep, that's, I mean, this is the essence of why the Sims games were great. They were quirky, and who the hell thinks of ideas like this? It all culminates in this fantastic Deus Ex Machina ending where Giuseppe Mezzoalto, a completely not suspicious-looking man, whom you've aided in acquiring blueprints to the town's sewer system, attempts burglary and other unscrupulous acts of skullduggery at the Hayseed Ranch.
Switches, so yeah, like I said, pro tip, always mark everything you're gonna be working on. It's just gonna save you trouble.
Well, shortly after liberating Uncle Hayseed from this nefarious captor, you meet him in one of the top 10 saddest anime endings. He reveals the following information. 1. You are an alien. 2. Your mother is not actually your mother, but rather your adoptive mother. And Uncle Hayseed is the one who truly found you in a cornfield many years ago, presumably from outer space on one of your journeys. And 3. Now the summer has ended, and it's time for you to go home. After a fulfilling season of humanitarian work, paying everyone's bills in Sim Valley, and volunteering for the common good, your quest ends in a fantastic way that invites more questions than it answers, which is really great world building at its finest. I think that's why these games have lived on in my memories so many years later. Even if their mechanics are archaic by today's standards, there's still a lot worth exploring here. But that's enough for now. After a little break to visit some family, I'm back to making videos for a while. So huge thanks to my patrons for helping to keep this ship afloat. I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. Until next time.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, getting a bachelor's degree doesn't have to mean starting from scratch. Here, you can earn up to 90 undergraduate credits for relevant experience. What will your next success be?
EA Games. Challenge everything. Today we're turning back the clock to November 9th, 2004 to revisit one of my favorite games of all time. It's the Herbs, Sims in the City. But wait, it's for Game Boy Advance. Of all the Sims spin-offs I've covered on this channel, this one is the zaniest, the wackiest, and the most bizarre one I've played, and I still find myself walking around my house humming its catchy tunes to myself to this very day. Like its prequel, Bustin' Out for GBA, this game was published and released by EA and Maxis, but developed by Kryptonite, a special game dev studio which also developed some of the Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter games for GBA, Nintendo DS, and the N-Gage. For ease of recording, I'll be doing the GBA version, though the DS version is objectively better. To be perfectly clear, this game is very sentimental to me, and despite its obvious limitations, I think it has the most heart of any game in the franchise. And I hope this video convinces you to dig up your old handheld and give it a try. Story. Urbs, or urbanites, city dwellers, are the subject of this game's plot. The setting is the urban sprawl of Minneapolis, somewhere in the Sims universe. You are the protagonist, a working-class window washer at King Tower, who's just vibing. One day out of the blue, your immediate supervisor, Chris Thistle, the head janitor at King Tower, breaks the unfortunate news that you've been canned. What is the meaning of this? How will you survive? A laughably goofy villain named Daddy Big Bucks, who's not just mawkishly patronizing toward poor people like in Bustin' Out, but is now metamorphosed into a greedy, villainous tycoon, has acquired King Tower, and is planning on firing its staff, then bulldozing all of Minneapolis and replacing every building with an exact replica of itself, and charging everyone an entry fee to profit off of everyone living there who walks his streets, drinks his water, and breathes his air. So right from the start, it's the haves versus the have-nots. This primary conflict sets in motion the events of the central plot. After a short series of quests where you trespass through King Tower to try to avoid moving out, Daddy Big Bucks catches you trespassing with your hand in the cookie jar and has you arrested by Detective Dan D. Man, a returning character from Bustin' Out, who's a friendly but also very uptight police officer. Fortunately, if you become friends with Officer Dan, you get to leave your jail cell early. And so commences the classic American quest of pulling oneself up by the bootstraps, fresh out of jail and with $0 to your name. After you get out of jail, Detective Dan offers you a job to be paid cash for shooting free throws every morning at 5 a.m. above the prison. Just where this money is coming from and why you're being paid to shoot hoops is unclear, but it sets off a chain of side quests about gaining skills, reputation or rep points, and popularity with the local street people by befriending them. At its core, the Urbs is about self-improvement, getting stronger, getting smarter, and getting paid more. I spent the first few weeks of the game lifting weights to improve at basketball and befriending the nerds at the university in the hopes that it would help me improve my skills to get better at my basketball job and other future jobs, since the whole purpose of life in the Urbs is to earn money. You'll probably spend 99% of your time in this game trying to earn more and more money. After you raise enough capital and befriend some of the locals, Detective Dan lets you go free to buy your own apartment in the cozy slums of Minneapolis, in the humble neighborhood of Urbania. But having an apartment comes with its own whole new set of responsibilities. Now I had to pay bills, and since I cheaped out on all of my furniture, now I had to repair it all the time. It made me more handy, but then again, on the other end of the spectrum, even the really expensive stuff can eat up a lot of time and maintenance too. Or even worse, since I lived in a lowly tenement, I was often robbed by burglars. My bed was stolen 3 times in only 1 week. The first chapter of quests in the game unlocked most of the early game career paths, where you help a doctor operate on a gnome in a minigame by spotting all of the combinations of medical symbols. And another game where you're a late-night comedian who's constantly dodging tomatoes, trying to tell a joke. The more tomatoes you dodge and the more jokes you tell, the more you get paid at the end of the night. Most of the quests had me doing shameful things just to barely get by, like asking the very scammy-looking Berkeley Claude for help fabricating a doctoral thesis to get into the university. But once I got to know the locals, like Crystal, whom I schmoozed out on the town, by taking her out for a $20 slice of pizza, I had penetrated my way into the urban life of the community. Wrapping up with the Urbania Chapter 1 quests, a crotchety old lady named Grandma Hattie approached me to help her arrange a protest to foil Big Bucks' plan at more urban development in Urbania to set it up as one big gift shop. It's genuinely exciting in this game after you do so much running around to see the other characters coming through for you and opening up new jobs, new parts of town, and new opportunities to help you raise your standard of living. Every quest comes with the promise of more money and more stuff. Once I got out of Urbania, I unlocked the harbor area
Okay.
of Minneapolis, containing market stalls, a fortune teller, and the museum, as well as being home to the iconic riverboat of Old Salty, who's another goofy rendition of a stereotypical sailor making his return from bustin' out. The quests in this chapter are similar to those of Part 1, injecting new economic life into a humdrum community that's about to be bought out by big bucks, and you're raising money to prevent the locals from selling out to him. Things like keeping the museum alive and preventing Old Salty from selling his riverboat, all of which eat up all your time, energy, and finances for the reward of more popularity and the genuine appreciation of locals like Grandma Hattie, who insists that you come to the graveyard every night from midnight to 4 a.m. in order to prevent the intervention of Daddy Big Bucks or his shady lawyer, Lily Gates, from snooping on their grassroots community meeting. It all culminates in your perfect foiling of all of Daddy Big Bucks' plans in not only one, but 2 communities around town. At which point in time, the game takes a completely different direction that no one ever expected, and which made me very, very uncomfortable as a child. In a scene that's practically out of Huckleberry Finn, Big Bucks smites you with his expensive cane, then throws you into the river and dances like a loony maniac. You come to your senses after blacking out, now washed up on the shore beneath a willow tree in the reeds of a backwater bayou, greeted by 2 goofy and slightly hostile hillbillies, Crawdad Clem and Bayou Boo, who fear, resent, and distrust city folk and all the money and baggage they bring to their isolated bayou shack. A far cry from every locale heretofore visited in the game. Marooned and with no hope at return, this was when I learned as a child that I had an irrational fear of
Right, still
hillbilly
works,
life
baby.
and swamps and bayous. It's kind of scary. The bayou is creepy. It's like a giant trash dump that absorbs all the global warming, radiation, and unintended environmental consequences of all the urban development going on in Minneapolis. It contains a very bizarre variety of encounters, like man-eating plants, 3-eyed mutant toads, vampires, an alligator man, an impish fiddle-playing caricature of the devil, and more. Most of which appear hostile at first, but then turn out to be friendly. Perhaps the strangest is an apparition of Daddy Big Bucks you encounter inside the undergrowth of the dark tree, which the Bayou Brothers dare you to delve inside, with the vague promise that maybe if you complete enough of their dares, they'll show you the way out of the bayou and back to civilization through the catacombs. Glad to be back in Minneapolis. Now you have access to the entire city, and most of the town is up in arms and outraged that Daddy B had the audacity to throw an adolescent into a river. Now you have access once again to
that's
King
the
Tower,
speakers
along with the
reset
Carmel,
up
with
again.
high-rise apartment buildings and department stores, and the best stuff in Minneapolis. Alongside that, now you have a fan boat to explore the riverways that run alongside the town. And there's all these weird secret areas, like Paradise Island, covered in palm trees to the north, as well as Nutria Island to the southeast, a little plot of land where tiny rodents pop in and out of the soil. One of the quests has you complete a simulated reality TV show, kind of like Survivor on Paradise Island, with its own series of quests and even trivia questions, or other goals, like trying to bother the other contestants on the island for huge cash prizes. I haven't even begun to mention all the secret entrances and bases in this game. You can literally climb down a ladder inside of a garbage can in one part of the city to access a secret base. There's a tunnel behind a poster in the prison that leads to the bayou. This game is frothing with secret areas, Easter eggs, and even nostalgic little nods to the cheat codes from the original Sims game, like the ninja salesman in a secret underground tunnel who sells you a milkshake called Rosebud, which prints simoleons out of thin air. By the final series of quests where you have to stop Daddy Big Bucks from using a time machine to go back to the 1800s and claiming all the land in Minneapolis for himself before the founding of the city, you'll genuinely feel like you've mastered all the secrets and ways of earning money in one of the most sprawling open-world adventure games ever created for the GBA. And to think, all of this was played on a handheld console powered by a battery, and I experienced in the backseat of my mom's car as a kid. I won't spoil everything if you ever decide to try this one for yourself, but I still feel like I've hardly even scratched the surface of what this incredible game was all about. Anyway, I got kind of lost in nostalgia when I was making this video, so I feel like it was a bit all over the place, but that is to say, thanks for joining me to revisit a game that actually meant a lot to me at a very impressionable age. And as always, thanks to my patrons for supporting my endeavors here. I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. Until next time, my friends.
Summer isn't about the Ritz crackers. It's about all the moments together.
Woo, hey, what's up? Still here? Nice.
Today I'm being sponsored by The Sims 4's mod hub, CurseForge. To use mods to utterly destroy the game by taking working from home to ridiculous extremes by never stepping foot off my property. So, starting with no money, 0 simoleons, I'm just gonna open a bunch of businesses on my property, including a nightclub, a daycare, a pet sitting service, and a bar. And it's all available at my house where I sleep and shower. This is made possible only by combining more mods than I'm supposed to, including one called Unlimited Jobs, which I also obviously downloaded. If you want to try it out for yourself, there's a link in the description. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and create our character. Someone whose haggard countenance and scrawny build proclaim to the rest of the world, there's nothing left for me in this life. We'll name him, Pimp Gandalf. That's fitting. I spawned in at 8:30 a.m. to my piece of land, naked and broke, and I began performing push-ups and sit-ups. Normally in The Sims, when you have no dough, you get a job. But since I'm not allowed to leave my property, I made money in the only way possible, using my smartphone, which was located in my pants. I took multiple selfies and sold them online as stock photos to make some startup capital, effectively selling my body for monetary gain. I also embarked on the legally dubious pastime of non-consensually photographing other people who were just walking by, and just other people's houses in the neighborhood, and also selling those online. By 11:43 a.m., it all had made for enough cash to purchase an easel, to journey toward a more legitimate creative profession. So I painted for a few hours, and after selling a few paintings, my mood grew tense because I was afraid of failure. So I decided to begin taking care of my needs by purchasing a cot for sleeping in. I slumbered, and then, well rested, I returned after a few hours to my work. It's a lot like being a YouTuber. So I basically just began this ruthless grind set of just painting the same thing over and over again until I could barely summon the energy to paint. Then I would go to sleep. And then whenever I got into a bad mood, I would just take more selfies, sell those online, soil myself, and then go back to bed until I wake up the next morning in a slightly better mood. For a millennial, this is considered a pretty good quality of life. At least I was my own boss. What about my other needs? Starving. I could simply order a pizza. But the problem was that the pizza delivery woman would remain on the sidewalk if she came to my house. How would I take the pizza from her without leaving my property? It would be against the rules if I walked onto the sidewalk. So to solve this problem, I needed a front door for her to knock on. So I erected a house.
And the switch is already done right here.
Erected. I can't afford a door. So I had to take more selfies and sell them to buy a door.
Okay,
Not a very
so
good one, just a bunch of sheetrock with an opening at the front. And went inside to receive the pizza. Then I took a picture of her
nice.
and
Okay,
sold
so
it
that means
online.
the bottom one
Feeling
is
well-fed and ready to start on a new venture, I decided that now that I had a room, I could just open it and call it a club. Under normal circumstances, this isn't allowed in The Sims 4. But the live-in business mod, which you can get from the CurseForge app if you want to try this out for yourself, lets you open any business at your house. Just anything. Daycare, bar, club, all three at once. I'm pretty sure you can see where this is going, but let's continue. So I decided to keep a low entry fee of 3 simoleons on the club. The club wasn't much good at all. It was just me, an uncomfortable man of an unbearable stench, standing in a dark room in a pimp hat, eating pizza off the floor. But somehow this was just enough to begin attracting multiple Sims to fork over their hard-earned dough. Think of it like an Airbnb, but just for the day, and you have to stand among a bunch of other lonely, depressed adults who are willing to endure unthinkable sensory unpleasantness, all just so that I would keep them company for a few hours. Somehow, an overnight hit. Millennials truly have no boundaries left and will spring at any attempt to make authentic human contact. The best part was that my club members started entertaining each other and even taking out the trash for me, making it passive.
All that for 2
now
sounds.
I was the sole
So you got the
of
starting
a dark
up
room where people just paid $3 to enter and talk to one another. It all liberated me from the daily grind to continue
and
my
then
passionate pursuit of fine art. Speaking of which, now I had garnered the
trigger
interest
control
of adoring fans who were tired of waiting on the sidewalk to enter
well,
my
I'll do that one later.
Women paid me $3 just to sit on my bed and watch the master at work while I sucked out their social. But I was growing sad. People were fighting, and I still hadn't met all of my needs. So I installed a shower in the nightclub to get immaculately clean. How would I end the fighting or at least distract the patrons of the nightclub. I mean, who would stoop to violence walking into this? No one. Naturally, I decided that the next step was to take care of children with the grand opening of our daycare, also on my property, to hopefully distract the nightclub guests from throwing hands.
Righteous.
It still didn't work,
Alright.
so I decided to just keep going. Profit. I raised the club entrance fee since there was now the growing problem that guests were using up more water and electricity, and I had to somehow sustain it. Not to mention that I had sold so much of my personal living space that now crazy stuff was happening everywhere. There was a cat in a top hat meowing into the corner of the nightclub. Someone was yelling at me in bed, and there were more and more fights breaking out, making my house resemble Fight Club. So to train these combatants who appeared at my residence night after night, I opened a gym, which was just another dark room with a punching bag inside. Every day as I painted and every night as I slept, people came to wrestle, party, drink, and flirt with me on my bed over a warm glass of milk. This all made for a toxic positive feedback loop, so I started selling my paintings, now at masterpiece level. Oodles of simoleons poured into my account,
there we go.
And I got rid of my bills. And I allocated the profits toward buying up solar panels, cash money, stop relying on the system for power, practically a passive income source. Around this time, I decided to expand the gym to accommodate more combatants, causing a flood of toddlers to enter the lot and mingle strangely with the club goers, who were themselves warlike, intense, and inebriated. But we were still stuck making only a few $100s a day. So I leveraged the business even more, expanding to a live-in cafe and a live-in bar. I installed a cannoli counter outside the nightclub /bar/daycare, and then I hired a barista to work the counter and serve delicious Italian pastries to the patrons, who were still fighting, despite my expensive offerings of custard. But at least profits were growing, and now people were starting to drop off their dogs and cats at the establishment, eager to dip their snoots into the exciting action. When I collected the profits at the computer interval, now in the thousands of dollars, apotheosis, I raised prices even more since our establishment was so popular, and this was really smart of me. And so it continued. Around 3 weeks into our enterprise, I decided that we expanded it into enough ventures that it was now becoming necessary to cut back on costs. But where could we save the power bill and the water? So I added rain collectors to our grid, dripping liquidity into our coffers.
There you go.
And why, after all, depend on the grid for energy when we could just make our own? So it was solar panels, solar panels, solar panels. I bought more of them, a lot more. But honestly, the prices just kept rising on our property taxes, leading me to question everything and then just overcompensate by buying more solar panels, leading to yet even higher property taxes. At which point I did some critical thinking. I can only conclude that the property tax assessor saw that we were doing pretty well and installed more solar panels, and so then decided to raise our taxes since we seemed to be raking it in, making the solar panel venture just into a nightmarish positive feedback loop of eco-friendly gentrification tax code of dystopian proportions. But I mean, honestly, I had it pretty made for me, eco-friendly scams aside. Ultimately, however, what had I even accomplished? I was a thousandaire, massive riches stored entirely in the form of solar panel fixtures, a business that my customers ran by themselves and paid me like $20 every 5 minutes, where I just went to bed or checked my phone all day long, taking selfies and doing nothing. Most people would say I had it made, but I had lost touch completely with my human side. I was basically an android robot focused entirely on bottom lines and productivity, a master capitalist, but also a husk of man, starved of that human experience I craved, that connection to my people. Warlike and illogical though they may be, only the neighborhood animals liked me. And so, with a heavy heart and a full bladder, I soiled myself and fulfilled my animal needs, and I, Pimp Gandalf, returned to the fight for that human experience, and stepped my bare foot out onto the pavement toward greener fields and pastures new, and they all lived happily ever after. The end. Anyway, this was wacky. Big thanks to CurseForge for sponsoring this deep dive into the strange world of Sims 4 mods. The app is totally free, and it's actually a pretty good way to catalog and organize your mods. So again, if you feel like it, I would appreciate if you click my link below if you're interested in trying it out.
There you
And
go.
as always, I'm Ambiguous
I think adding the wraps kind of helps add to the very haphazard nature of the Proton pack looking thingy.
Maryland Global Campus, getting a bachelor's degree doesn't have to mean starting from scratch. Here, you
At least me, that's how I feel personally.
credits for relevant experience. What will your next success be?
Today I'm being sponsored once again by CurseForge, modding hub for The Sims 4. To use mods to ruin the game, this time by isolating 100
Thank
Sims
you.
with
My engineering style is like, imagine if you took the elements of like Dead Rising 2 and 3, Metro, the whole series, of course Ghostbusters, MacGyver, and there was one more,
mods that let me do things like this.
and Gmod. Take all those elements of engineering, and that's essentially what I like. Like, everything looks so chaotic, but they still somehow just work just enough to get the job done. You know, like, look at that. This is what allows you to have this.
But before we even begin, let's talk about what each one of them will.
And then the firing sound that I can't do right now because it's wired over there. So.
Breaking down the walls for entry, and then I sealed them in. Bed, toilet bowl, kitchen.
But yeah, this is I like this kind of aesthetic of engineering where it just looks very prototypey and not like super professional in a way. It looks like it was like clobbered together in someone's garage or something. That's the aesthetic I strive for in my builds.
Well, you go around town and you just take people,
I'm
to
just
be
gonna
honest.
walk around.
You just talk to them and then you invite them to join your family. So everyone came over my house to experience loss, loneliness, and desolation voluntarily. 5:30 to 7:30 a.m., 5 days a week, the streamer's schedule. But I still just didn't have enough people because there just weren't enough. So I decided to write a Logitech keyboard macro and bind it to one of my mouse buttons to spawn in more people than you're supposed to, which seemed to be working at first, but then it stopped working because now I had 100 people out on my lawn, inside of one another.
Perfect.
And it was taking them too long to do everything. This is an unacceptable way to play the game. That's what I would have said until I downloaded the amazing Simulation Lag Fix and Simulation Unclogger mods, both of which somehow helped. Hopefully that makes me seem smart, and not just like I make a lot of mistakes. I had created one of the greatest influencer gatherings, as exemplified by the kawaii sweatshirts worn by the e-girls standing on my lawn. Actual women. With all the people gathered together on the lawn outside the house, I tested various configurations of the room again. Toilet bowl in front of the live stream desk as a chair? Possibly good for multitasking. I even tried destroying, then rebuilding all of the rooms. I don't remember why. But ultimately, I figured that I'd have to tear down a tunnel through each of the walls and individually command every sim to walk his or her own way into solitary confinement. And I individually cemented each sim with sheetrock into quarantine, most never to be seen again, aside from their appearances online.
So where am I gonna stick this thing now?
Performance.
I need
As
to
my
know.
Sims made their way into their unfamiliar and
Oh, that's right. It
claustrophobic
says
new
Velcro strap
existences,
on it.
my computer began to speed up, since there weren't just 100 Sims having a conversation on the lawn, but not by much. I can't afford a very good graphics card. Honestly, it was very satisfying to watch them cell themselves in like nuclei in individual cells.
There we go.
Sometimes they would walk through the walls, T-pose intimidatingly, or congregate in one room. Honestly, unacceptable. After 4 hours of gameplay, I had finally managed it. 100 Sims, standing in 100 rooms. Almost all of them completely beside themselves about what to do. Ironically, before I was able to equip them with PCs, most of them passed out due to extreme exhaustion since I had had to remove the beds from each and every cell to allow them to file through the destroyed walls. This necessitated rebuilding almost all 100 beds, a Sisyphean and nightmarish task unto itself, which didn't really even help at all since Most of them were unable to locate the bed directly in front of them since they had already departed from consciousness. The best among them, who hadn't succumbed to slumber, either showered, eased their bowels, read a book in bed, procrastinated on smartphones, or mournfully regarded an expired grilled cheese sandwich, or perhaps the most commonplace, just stared with a 1,000-yard stare melancholically into space. This woman fell asleep in a puddle of her own fluids. This sad man ate quiche and had depression. Then I removed their only source of joy and solace, the bookshelves, and replaced them with 100 uncomfortable elementary school-sized desks, 100 copies of desktops that weren't any good, and 100 copies of chairs made for kindergartners. Much was awry. Finally, I had set everything up, streamer desks and all.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Everywhere. An odoriferous burrito, smelly toast, and every goddamn sim was uncomfortable except this man who was just tense for some reason. At long last, one man learned to turn on the computer and was using it to watch e-girls on Twitch. More and more, they began to tune out of their own lives and turn on to 4chan and Reddit and places like that. They became goofier. No, really, like they cultivated goofiness. Mischief is a skill that
Thank
you can
goodness
develop
for that.
for. Look it up. I logged on to the PCs from all of the rooms, signing everyone up for exactly the same job. Video game streamer. And I picked out an e-girl cat avatar for everyone. Man, woman, or anything in
Alright,
between.
what if I...
It didn't matter. The first job promotion
If I
required
wrap it around
level 2
here...
gaming and level 2 entrepreneurship, neither of which seemed attainable, since most of my sims seemed trapped in stasis, interrupted only by momentarily blips of life coursing through their veins. People were passed out in vulnerable positions, surfing forums, and just generally milling about.
Ooh,
When you assign work to 100 sims, most of them will resist doing the assigned task like they're allergic to it. Brief interlude here. I tried lowering the number of sims to only 8 in an alternate save file, during which period one man nearly self-immolated, 3 of the women got about 17 followers, and everyone leveled up at gaming. But for the most part, they were universally uncomfortable and upset, confirming that this was indeed the status quo. I returned to my experimental playthrough where people were dying because they were unable to get the vegetables inside of themselves before unfortunately starving to death, and then being paid a visit by the iPad-equipped Grim Reaper. Another man died, also of starvation, bringing the count down to 98. Live streaming is indeed a dangerous and sometimes deadly profession. I tried swapping out the potato computers with dinky webcam-equipped PCs, but I used to assign more people on.
That spooked you, my bad.
But around this time, I realized that my computer simply
in this
wasn't
job, you
powerful
can't get
enough
spooked,
for
my
this
man.
challenge. So I started streaming the
Who you
challenge
gonna
onto
call?
Twitch and begging my viewers for help because I didn't know how to get it to run properly. I turned down the graphics to complete garbage, and I installed the simulation lag fix and simulation unclogger mods, which honestly sped the game up immensely, but maybe not completely enough for what was about to happen. I restarted the entire challenge because I couldn't tell what was going on anymore, and I realized that I had horribly messed up. I lost the ability to spawn sims in somehow. I'm not quite sure still what happened. So I started spawning them in just 10 by 10 with an alternate way, the relationships.createFriends for sim command. Then running them off like cattle to the slaughter into the bright, inviting rooms of my palace of loneliness. For the most part, almost everything was awesome until I opened my task manager, at which point I decided that the scope of this stupid idea had far exceeded single CPU threading, and this was a very optimistic idea for a video. But still, I persisted. People ran in like ants, streaming, gaming, doing push-ups, and generally exhibiting productive behaviors at first, even beyond the sim limit. From there, I added another 10 to a total of 20. Still, everything was mostly okay. And then things began to become not okay. 30 was definitely not okay. 40 was even worse. And beyond that, my sims were capable of doing only 2 things. 1, starving to death, and 2, accidentally setting themselves on fire. Wow, what a shame. What a real shame. Together, these made for a lethal wombo
Guess
combo.
I'll put it
People
like
got
right
hungry, tried to cook, and then burned everyone in the surrounding rooms.
right here, I
And my
guess.
streamers made only about $20 In 2 days of me forcing everyone to work, everyone was dirty and standing in urine. Even the Grim Reaper struggled at the entry. So as the horrible fires spread and spread and spread, I removed the rooms of dead Sims, most of whom hadn't even done a single live stream yet, for failure to raise enough energy to sit at the computer. One by one, almost everyone died, until I was back down to 16 or so, at which point they began to catch up with the horrible code loop and exhibit behaviors of self-preservation at last. By the bitter end, 84 people dead. They had made a total profit of $40, but finally, they were gaining followers, uninhibited by the masses of sub-for-sub VTubers among them. But it just goes to show that in the brutal world of entertainment, not a lot of people have what it takes to withstand the pain of being set on fire. So I had completely failed, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. In the end, internet clout just isn't worth it. The real reward was savoring the fire that burned our skin, the burritos we could have eaten, the toast we left to go stale, and the people we rendered inside of. I literally couldn't have tried this challenge, and my computer would have horribly died if it hadn't been for the mods that make this game playable at such a grandiose scale. So if you decide you want to torture yourself and your PC too, maybe give it a try. Big thanks again to CurseForge for sponsoring this Task Manager session. I always love getting to take that out. The app is totally free to download and use. And trying out some of these mods also goes out to support the mod authors involved here. I'm Ambiguous Amphibia. A big thanks to my patrons who unclog my simulation every day. Until next time.
That's so good looking. And it's held in there with street Velcro.
Welcome everybody to a short new Project Zomboid series.
There we go. So when it's closed up, it should look like.
Down by the river. And here is, I know we don't have a van, but I mean that's the main idea. We're actually using the RV interior mod here.
There you go.
The main thing I kind of wanted to explore, where we get in the back seat of one of these trailers, and we enter it, and suddenly we're in like another world where there's TV and like refreshments, and maybe we could even keep the power on in here and
bam!
our own little slice
There we go.
of civilization.
And then that's where the rails go here.
A bit of a mod list here.
Yeah. That took some doing. That legitimately took some doing.
The main goal here is get
There we go.
in the new map, Rabbit Hash. And I tried out a couple
Yep,
of
there's
cool
the
maps here,
stuff.
but I
And then the wires that used to be in here are all still here, of course. Right there. But they're all hidden by this little panel here, which is actually part of the Proton pack. It's a little crevice there that you just place in here. And since everything is nicely accidentally knocked over my glue gun.
We spawned in this other house over here, and we're kind of off in the woods. I just want to make sure that it's safe, so I'm going to open up my map.
There we go.
Here we are. And we are streaming.
So everything is all nicely taped. It just slips into this little crevice here that you can see. That little array of wires come from this. It just slips in there now. It's everything's so nicely organized for the most part. There we go.
New markings in the game. I'm probably going to think that a lot of things that have been in the game seem so amazing and new and otherwise remarkable. But
there we go.
I mean, like, otherwise, I'm just a man.
And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else left to run.
Also Brita's,
So
mods, which
I think we're good. Starting up.
Right here. I don't think we're going to be getting this everywhere, but if we do, I mean, like, awesome. Like, it's just more stuff to use. I totally didn't find this in the place that we visited.
Okay. Night.
Awesome. Okay, we actually have a lot of shotgun shells, and let's attach this to our belt.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to.
So we already spawned in with a shotgun. That's quite crazy. Oh, we got our double barrel shotgun.
Yeah, we're ready to close this up. I think. There's nothing else to do. Everything else is good.
I don't like the double-barreled weapons. I'm gonna unload around from this, and then let's.
Okay, I guess there's only one thing left to do then. Again.
It's been a while since I last played with Buddha, but I think that we pretty much killed every single zombie in a city, and it was pretty crazy. But like we still were hardly even scratching the surface. So, let's go
Okay.
ahead.
So that's the volume control. Yes, there's also a volume control in here.
Our character is Benedict Huffington McCringleberry, and he's pretty much just emaciated.
Oh.
He's like a slow reader who's emaciated, but he has other good traits.
This one
like
is the
that are organized,
startup sound
out
on
of
the
shape,
wand
which
if
is
you want to
very
start
good.
up like in the movie. Because there's actually two functions. I'll show you in a
Needs
bit.
like a little bit more in fitness, but he's already kind of coming along.
And then this is the firing sound. Yes.
There's a lot of traits that make it easy for him to kind of like stay up at night and kind of be on the prowl, looking for.
So if you want to fire on the wand, let's say you're here, right? And you got the wand right here. You press the little button here, and then there'll be lights. Oh wait, you know that's extended. There should be LEDs in this thing. So when you press the little fire button here,
but I don't really think that it would be a good idea for me to have like a shotgun
it'll.
right from the beginning. So let's go ahead and I think I'm going to actually
Like that. There we go. But yeah, just like that.
Probably going to be a little bit more maneuverable than, for example.
So that's that happening soon, hopefully. And then what I meant by two functions is the switch I'm using to power that controls all the power going through the. Shoot, if I can get a good shot of it here. Right here, this little switch right here. This is actually a two-position switch, meaning it's in neutral is in the middle, and it can go either left or right. So basically, you have two options. Basically, the left side, like in the movie, where they power from the pack.
We'll just take like a slightly more robotic, weird TTS for this time.
There's that. Or if you want to do it like in the other, in like what Ghostbusters 2, right, where they turn it up from the neutral wand, flip it to the right, and only the lights will be on. And then from there,
I'm afraid that I'll lose the trailer. And also, too, backing up with the trailer is an extreme pain. Like, I haven't really got to the end of that yet. But the trailer just does... Oop, there we go. We almost hit that sign.
let's see if I can... Oh, no.
I feel like I hear like a car
There we go.
in the distance.
Startup wand from the wand itself.
Yep, there's definitely a car alarm over there. I do believe that there is some activity over there. Okay, there is water over there. Do you see that? Right on the edge.
There you go. That way you can start for the wand through a little switch. And that will turn on the lights on it too. And then I think... that's weird. How come...
Separately from the van and the river. And then perhaps return to the van and the river as man and van. When we're ready in good time. But it also seems like maybe we're going to need to, well, cut down a few trees here, and I don't want to get too lost in the woods.
Oh no.
Right,
Did I forget about this ring? Uh-oh.
It would be a better idea to leave some of the shotgun shells here. Yeah, there we go. And let's put the shotgun... Oh, look, we have a Walkman in our bag. How very 90s of us. There we go. Maybe it has, like, a great song. Some of the great songs of the 90s in it. We've got our axe and we've got our belt. And I do kind of want to stealth this one out if that's possible. I know stealth almost never works, ever, but I do believe that we're near civilization a little bit. Yep. And there we go. The people of Rabbit Hat have prepared for the man in the van down by the river. Again, Chris Farley, great comedian. It's actually one of the first series I ever wanted to do, but
and then also you have volume control on the speaker too.
Since someone made the RV interior mod, it's
so
much better. All my options.
And that will be on the wand as well.
I'm gonna run away because I haven't played Zomboid in a while. It seems to me as if the ambiance has really.
Well, it's actually almost 11, so I'm getting ready to head on off actually. I just wanted to get everything set up, and yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
That sounded like a death to me, if there ever was one.
So
we don't have on multi-hit either, so it is actually going to be quite challenging to fight some of these people.
There we go, and then
again, I think
show you the volume control. That's volume control right there.
And then run away.
And this one is trigger control.
Kind of emaciated, so don't want to take too many risks right now. I'm not a big risk taker. What did I tell you? Baseball bat.
Alright, see you again, Sunbeamer. Have a good one.
Maybe hits with more punch, but yeah, there we go. That's a second one. of a van and a pickup truck and a trailer, but it's all just
Oh, yeah.
a van to me. Just a van. There we go. And already our character is shown to be way more of a wimp than I ever even would have given him credit for in the first place. Question came up, why do I have the damage number? I believe that's on, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it has something to do with mod options. It's been a while though. There used to be a mod where I could actually see the health bars and I used to use that, but then I found that it became somewhat obnoxious and I actually don't like that much UI in the game. Oh, wallet. Actually did lose my wallet. Oh wait, no, I did find it, I forgot. What a lovely jacket. Oh, fun. Wow. Lovely. So lovely.
Okay, switch.
Practically heard Stevie Wonder singing about it. Isn't it lovely? Here, let's enter again. Now, we are equipped with a sink. Oh my gosh. Never thought we'd get one. But, I mean, like, this van, which still is due as forth yet, is not yet at the river. So it's still just a van. I mean, to be fair, it's not even a van, but it's a van. Because it's a van.
It's been a long day without you, my friend. And I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Very basic ones, kind of cramped, but there are better vans we can find. I'm pretty sure that we could like do some kind of interior decorating in here and dismantle these things. I'm not gonna go quite that far, but I mean, like, look, we can even turn on and off the lights. I'm gonna keep it moody here. Do we have Life and Living TV? Actually, I probably should have done this right from the beginning. I'm wondering if we saw.
Okay, let's just get this all stuff sorted out quick.
Like a VCR player on this. Let's try Life and Living. We'll tune into that. And it looks like we don't have anything on right now, but that's going to be the station that we'll turn to just to get some skills. We can keep checking on that from time to time. I'm pretty sure we don't have power, but yeah, honestly, I'm going to be kind of learning about this mod as we go through. So
there you go.
For some reason, it gives me the option to enter when I do that. Probably because I got into the other box.
Awesome.
But we do have a watch now. We don't actually have the date. I believe it's something.
Getting pretty close. I just finished. What's it called? I just finished getting some of the electronics done. Let me show you. Actually, why'd I switch camera views?
Kind of like in They Are Billions or 7 Days to Die.
Alrighty.
I just thought that would be kind of a fun challenge for myself, but
not much has happened. Well, a lot has happened, but not much in like this grand scale of things in terms of trying to finish this as soon as possible. I think now I am set to just start going ham on the progress on this thing, because I have a wire here that's going to go through the hose and up to this. I already mocked up a loose scaling of the neutrino wand, and I'm pretty sure I can definitely include some of the barrel extension mechanism. I really want to include the lights in the tube, you know, the light bars and all that, so that'll be fun. But yeah, pretty close, but still far away. But I'll show you what I have so far. So, turning on the pack.
Bear Grylls sort of man. Now we can kind of train our sneaking here. It might be worth it to get a couple of the first levels. We got 13. We could just like wander around here. Whoops. Nope, we can't because we're.
Oh, that's right. I gotta.
I believe that you get experience for
accidentally
that you're nearby, for which you aren't detected.
Yeah, probably should just.
That's how it worked. That was
just combine all that together quick.
Did you guys hear that clucking? I swear, I don't even know what they added to the game. There's like the whole new foraging system, which I don't even really know anything about. But it does feel good to come back to the game with it feeling like a whole new game.
There you go. Yeah, so what happened was I temporarily unhooked the thing so I can test it. So, now we're going to do it again.
You should come here if you don't have it.
Actually, let me
Alright, it looks like the coast is clear.
change view.
Ooh, a
So sure,
garage,
you can actually get a good view of how much I actually
as they say
have at
in
the moment.
the United States.
So,
And
alrighty.
I'm, of course, a native of.
So,
Here we are. I did used to live near Turkey. It's back where I went to college.
so
We had local
here's where I am at the moment. This little doodad here goes here. I need to finish the ion arm, but basically,
after all in the United States.
turning it on.
Like the outdoor ambiance is kind of
Power cell, cyclotron, and that's about it. I added a complete new feature into this I didn't intend to, but after watching a lot of one-day builds from Adam Savage and seeing the Proton pack that's officially licensed by Hasbro and HasLabs, they had some features I really wanted to emulate, so that's what I'm doing here. So in this case, you can now actually take apart the cyclotron assembly, and that's why I rerouted some of everything that's functional into here so I could fiddle with it if it breaks or replace or something. And I'm gonna show you right now. Switch to the thing.
Some people think that's 60 pounds. They're like, 60 pounds is horribly underweight. You're gonna die. Or they think that when I say like 90 pounds, it's too much.
So,
no, that's kg.
Top and bottom, this is gonna be where the bars will go. For example, like that's where these, right here and right there. So, first thing is first. You can actually now, this is going to be replaced by something later, but this is the knob now, so you unscrew that.
Oh, bouillon. Whoops, like beef bouillon. Whoops. That was nice.
There we go. It takes a while. It's a long nut and bolt.
Like a bar of gold.
There we go. Pull that out. So this is going to be where the bumper goes, and the end filter will go right here later. Now, you have the cyclotron unit that you can take out, and now you can actually have a look inside to see all the actual electronics that make this thing function. So it kind of gives it a kind of cool little unattended looky, like it looks like it's actually doing something. And here you can actually see my circuitry for the lights and that little tiny Arduino. It's an Arduino Nano that's running the whole gig, and the 4 lights and yeah. And you can actually unplug this if you want to take it out. I actually routed it. And the main reason why I did that, too, is because since I'm going to a convention and it might be pretty bright. I mean, look at that. You can actually adjust the brightness. Just a little bit there. It's not too obvious in person, but you can definitely tell.
I still have all the files, though.
So.
And, like, some of them are up on...
yeah, there we go.
Wherever I put them, I can't remember.
Yeah, there we go. You can adjust the brightness if you'd like. And there's a potentiometer right here, so you could...
I'm really liking the furniture layout of these places.
If you really want to make it more dimmer.
That's nice.
There we go.
Zomboid just feels
and then
fresh and new.
Here, this is where the sound is. These 2 little boards right here are where all the sound comes from, which allows you to hear... let me show you. Allows you to hear the good old sounds of it firing, which is the wiring here. This is the startup sound. So there's 2 versions here. The switch is either manual or is a neutral. So there's 2 options you can select. Of course, the left one is supposed to emulate the first Ghostbusters, where when you turn on the Proton pack, it does that. However, in the second movie, there's the version in that one, or at least in that startup sequence, the Proton packs actually start up through the neutrino wand that they flick the switch on. So that's what this one is for. So you could just basically start it up from the wand, so you could do the same thing essentially. And of course, how can you bust ghosts without firing the Proton stream? So this is the trigger control now, and and then there we go. And of course, the main reason why I did all this was so I can actually have this function of all things. Since this is intended to be in the public area, and I get that maybe someone might want to see it in action, however the place might be very quiet, I want to be a little bit considerate and I learned how to use a potentiometer yesterday. That's how I'm even doing all this with potentiometers. But basically, it'll allow me to adjust the volume essentially. Like, because if I were to take this in a public place that's not too loud, that I don't want to be disturbing everyone else's business with my Proton pack going off like that. So I actually opted to assemble in a trigger control. So you can actually lower it down. See? So if someone wanted to see the Proton pack, I could immediately adjust the volume to be loud or quiet depending on the environment, and no one should be too bothered by the sound of a Proton pack starting up and firing. But hey, that's what we can hope for, right?
It was like a very weird word because apparently hardcore has like other connotations or something like that. I don't even know, but it would just show up weird. So no more of that. I mean, it was just.
Well, yeah, that's about it.
Whatever. It's a big platform.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff away.
There we go.
Start getting organized.
So.
We don't really need too much of this. The oven mitt, I could pretty much just put.
Yep, adjust the volume. Yeah. There we go. So get all that out. Oh wait, no, put that back on. This might just my test bed. Of course, I do notice the speaker is a little bit more quieter than had if I had just been straight wired, but having the capability to adjust your volume when you want to, I'll take it any day of the week. So yeah.
Now I'll turn on the light. There we go.
But yeah, that's it. These are the wires that go to the neutrino wand, and so I need to wrap those when I get the chance one day. But at the moment, it cannot because, well, obviously we're doing stuff with it. And you know what? I'm gonna adjust this, or not adjust it. I'm gonna decorate it. Why not? Let's go a little silly here.
Officially now, this is my cabinet, not anymore my cooking area.
Oh, I don't need that. Why not? Let's make it look a little prettier. There we go. This looks interesting.
And that's the way it's going to be. And then tonight we'll watch Netflix or something. Although I'm really not safe in here. Like, zombies could be piling up on the outside.
I don't have to do this, but this is gonna make me feel better. So I'm gonna make it look like it's something important.
It's good to see that TTS has gotten over her cold and has her voice back. Also, Might Night Taco hold that very, very much for the 1,000 bits.
So that goes to here. That goes to here.
Hope you flew. Man, I remember when I flew. I did PDX-Con in Sweden, and I couldn't sleep for more than 2 hours at a time for about 3 days, which were all just like dotted by drinking a lot of rum and cokes with Bo and Spiff, and like
yeah, there we go.
Drank a lot of rum and coke. I accidentally spilled some of it on the hotel floor lobby.
I had a whole crap ton of stuff here.
Definitely a fun event to go.
Oh yeah. So the reason why I also made it so you can replace the stuff too. I accidentally burnt out one of my sound cards actually on accident. So that's also the reason why that prompted me to change it from here, which was originally going to be sealed permanently, to this openable area, and include the fact that you can actually open up the cyclotron housing and all that. Where'd it go? Oh well. Anyways.
It was a good time.
Anyways, I was gonna make this look like a little microchip or something, or a heatsink, or something, like an amplifier. But it is getting pretty late, so I do gotta go get ready to head on off. But I will try and stream again tomorrow, of course. There we go. Whatever the heck this thing does. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna just add this to it. Screw it. Make it look prettier. It does nothing, but it makes me feel better. It's just for a decoration, baby. Nice. And then add that in there so it looks official or something, even though it's literally just a microchip glued to a piece of cardboard. Why not? It's my proton pack, right? I can decorate it.
Good memories.
Even if the decorations don't do anything too useful. It makes me feel.
So the reason I kind of like reminiscing on that is because I don't really get this kind of like cool weather anymore. We're getting a nice cold front around the United States right now. We've got a.
There we go. And now just stay
this like wintry mood.
right
I'm gonna start
here.
collecting these things because I imagine we're going to have to do a lot of work on our RV, or like, what if we have to replace something?
Yeah, baby.
Thinking like we'll
That's
have an RV. I'm very hopeful that we'll find one.
And then
Or maybe like one of the slightly
make this
better
easier for mysaelf
spawns
too.
around here. Yeah, here we go. Let's have
Oh,
an
I
entire
didn't.
box
I
of cereal.
forgot to accidentally did that wrong.
I saw something really
Dang.
bizarre at the store the other
Never mind.
day.
I accidentally
looking for
botched it.
cereal because I need to eat, and I saw off-brand Frosted Flakes that were just still called Frosted Flakes.
But anyways,
Apparently the name
yep.
hasn't been-
So that'll do it.
I don't know, maybe it
Oh yeah,
had a
turn the
trademark.
brightness
Oh,
back to
Jesus.
max.
That guy was perhaps more frightening of a jump scare than the off-brand
There we go.
Frosted Flakes themselves. I really didn't expect that. There wasn't a
And then, of
single
course, this needs to go through the bottom to the neutrino wand. So that's going to be fun. But until then, I'm just going to lightly do all that so it's not sticking out and where I get caught somewhere.
beautiful country.
Oh, God. How do I,
That's the only place that's the only time I've ever been abroad.
Oh, I know how to fix that.
We have
Give me a second.
comprehensive protection in that one. We could start doing though is getting some of the we'll probably start rip clothing or we could
I don't want
probably
these
start
to
getting some
potentially
thin
short circuit each other,
leather
so I'm just going to do
padding,
this.
because we don't want to get scratched, and it would be a good idea to start tailoring soon. So we could open up some of that in our
Basically, it'll do that, but you could just easily just pull these things off. They're just safety covers, essentially, because that's how I accidentally burnt out my my other what's it called?
That's how long it's been since I played.
My other sound card that allowed you to
Feels good though.
shoot a
You got a first aid kit. I'm
sound.
that first aid kit
I didn't have the speaker plugged in, so I didn't know it was constantly trying to run. However, I have this weird fatal flaw in the Proton pack where if I try and run both sounds at the same time, where it fires and starts up, it just short circuits the entire thing. I'm trying to figure that out. But I don't have time to do it completely, so I'll just work with that. So I'm just going to tape those up for now. But everything is in here and accounted for, so that will go through here in its rightful place. And with that, Proton pack, cyclotron, back home you go. Screw on the bumper assembly. I think this is what it's called.
A map of my beloved Florida. Wow.
There we go.
I mean, the rest of this is just going to become part of Florida one day. You know, the way that these environmental trends are moving, or at least that's what I would suspect.
Bam. There we go.
Eventually, we'll all be just one.
So that's what I have so far for the Proton pack. It's pretty much almost done.
Let's go ahead and
Just
get
gotta
I'm not, you know,
add the two little
I'm not
doodads here. Anyway.
Speculating, just speculating.
Boom, boom.
Teabag,
Yeah.
nice. This house is just so nice. I would really like to move in here. Maybe I could even park the van in here. Except that seems
Yeah.
kind of like
And then
risky.
I'm gonna cut a whole circle here because that's where you can mount the ribbon cable. So, yeah,
Fire pump also could be
I am
used.
excited for that one.
This little crowbar could be used.
But anyways, before we get on that,
I mean, it's tempting to just take everything.
no, on my phone.
So I think I'm just gonna eat more chocolate to help myself carry it.
Ooh, check my thing
This
quick.
is on the server now. I'm just doing a solo playthrough, actually, right now with Zomboid. I would like to do the multiplayer stuff, but I would probably want to do it somewhere with like other content creators, and I just haven't like dipped my head into that in a while. We had a good one going. I believe it was Clean that was hosting it. I tried doing some of the hardcore
Okay.
RP stuff, but I felt like other people were just like way more prepared than me, so I
Cool.
felt like there was this kind of asynchronous.
Anyways, oh yeah, and I also found this thrifting. It's a neat little. I don't know. This looks like something you would see in Ghostbusters. Is that just me? Hold on.
Some people
Give me a
take it
second.
way,
I'm gonna show you this.
like,
This little watch right here, it has like a built-in light and all that. which you can't really see, but there we go. That little tiny thing's supposed to light up this entire watch. But I thought maybe I could somehow incorporate this as a wristwatch, you know, to fit the Ghostbusters aesthetic as it takes place in the 80s. So that's going to be a fun little project too. And maybe, hear me out, maybe I can make it look like it's an experimental thing. So I could have like little power cell lights here as well doing their thing. And little cyclotron lights here too. Or something. An atomic watch. Ghostbuster style or something. I don't know, just something to think about. Anyways, little watch. I want to somehow include this in my Ghostbusters cosplay.
I really would like to put it right there, but if I can't, oh, it's because I'm not in that square. It's all right. All right.
Anyways, though, this is it. This is the final stretch now. Hopefully this week we'll be set. Can't believe I'm doing this, but I got the Proton pack here with me as we speak. There we go.
Oh, we got something.
So, this will do it, you guys. This is so cool. This is the Proton pack at the moment now with some features I never thought I would be implementing, but I'm so stoked and I'm happy I did. I went through the extra trouble because I feel like in the long run, if something breaks or something burns out, I have a way to access that or something. So yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for enjoying this, trending the stream. It's 11:30, so I'm out. That's it for me tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream again. My name is Happy Hour if you prefer, or Tailman. Oh! Oh, shoot! Before you, yeah, for those who didn't get here earlier, sorry, hold on. This is so cool. I ordered this specifically for this, for the thing. Since I said Happy Hour, I had this in the mind. I got patches, both left and right, for my jumpsuit that's coming in. And I also got my own custom-made name tag, Happy Hour. So I can't wait for that. Hey, what's up, Weeaboo? Oh my gosh, I was about to sign off, but shoot, since you're here, I'm gonna show you what I did with this pack. So first, I want to sign off, but you need to see what I've done with this thing so far. I overhauled some of its fundamentals, but I think it's gonna help me in the long run here. So, yeah, I'm just waiting on the jumpsuit to arrive. Yeah, so here we go. So all right. So everyone say hello to my Weeaboo Thugs. That's my cousin. We're both going to PAX. He's the reason why I'm even live streaming at this moment. He pretty much pushed me to do this live streaming thing. So you know, thank him for all this. And if you want to check out his content, be sure to check out his videos if you'd like to see a podcast on game reviews that people play and give arbitrary numbers on it. Anyways. You should watch it. I'm on there as well if I decide to join. But no, okay. Anyways, so here's the Proton pack, man. You have to hear this. You have to at least hear this once. If you weren't here yesterday, I'm happy you weren't, because the moment I got this like assembled the first time and I heard that sound, I started crying, dude. Like I never thought in 10, almost 20 years, ever since I started Tailman's channel, my channel, one of my first videos was a Proton pack. I never thought I'd have sounds and lights on it, but here we are. So, enjoy this sound, my man. Hold on.
So I did clear out that house.
Oh, you know I will. Check this out. Oh shoot! There we go. And, yep, there's the little power cell lights. And then the cyclotron. Hold on, give me a second. I'm gonna turn off the lights real quick. Actually, no, I can't because they won't turn back on if I do. But yeah, cyclotron lights, power cell lights, and it's all powered by this little convenient thing here, a little container up top that allows you to use a power bank by any sort. And let me show you a feature I just retrofitted into it. Give me a second. So you have the cyclotron unit right here. We all know and love. Bam. And I also have to open it so I can showcase the firing sound on this thing. But here's the cyclotron unit. I never intended for it, but after watching some videos and after some stuff happened to me, I would have loved to have this be modular and repairable, especially out in the field for a reason. So now, this took me a while to figure out, but I got it. I just based it off with a similar mechanism on the real thing. You can actually buy a Proton pack that can do this exact feature I emulated. So basically, you unscrew the bumper. You screw the bumper knob here. This will be replaced with an actual piece there. It's just a stop gate or a placeholder.
Occasionally they'll look happy for about
there you go.
minutes.
Unscrew it up. Take off the little retainer nut. And now you can actually remove the cyclotron unit. So you can actually see the circuitry. And most importantly, you can actually do some repairs on all the electronics I implemented. There's the sound cards right there that now I can actually just take out through Velcro and repair or change up the volumes or change out sound files if I want to. So there's that. And then now you also have the wiring that's going to go onto the neutrino wand. So that's going to be cool. Oh, since you're here, let me show you the firing sound at least. So you can at least hear that. Let's see here. Start at one sound. Volume control. Where's the firing? Oh, there it is. There we go. Trigger control. Pull that out quick. Uh-oh. There we go. You got to hear the firing sound at least. There you go. Yeah, buddy. There we go. There's the firing sound control. And I already showed it many times, but I'm going to show it one last time before I really do turn this off. The main reason why is because I also learned how to use potentiometers for the first time ever in a project. That isn't like using Arduino as a crutch. Basically, my reasoning is. Thank you. Yeah. So here you go. So the reason why I did all this in the first place is I know we're gonna be in a public area, right? And in the off chance that someone wants to see this thing fire, and we're like on the ferry, right? On the ferry, on the way or to from, and it's pretty quiet there. I don't want this thing full blast volume, interrupting people's, stuff. So I decided to implement volume control on the speaker that's built into this. So now it won't be as loud when you fire. So I can adjust the volume so it can be as loud as it needs to be or as quiet as it needs to be. There we go. And as such, when you turn it on, it can be more lower or more high as you need be. So you won't disturb other people, if it's a very quiet place. Now, if it's at the convention, then of course, I'm going to have this thing at full volume. But in the off chance, there we go. So, mostly in areas where no other plant could survive. Yeah, man, this is like my dream come true here, man. This is like I've always wanted a Proton pack, and of course I can't really. Well, I mean, technically I could nowadays, but it's just not gonna. I don't see the point when I could make it and I can add what I want into it. So yeah, I pretty much gave it a lot of features that I would love to see on a Proton pack. And the last part really is just finishing it up. Get the business cards out, yeah. Yeah, he told me to make business cards in case people want to visit my channel or something. I can have cardboard business cards happening here. So, there we go. Volume control. Yeah, that should work now. Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, the last one I forgot to show you as well. I implemented this on the cyclotron. It is pretty bright, as you can see. So I also implemented a potentiometer here, so you can dim it just a little, so it doesn't keep burning someone's retinas out. So it's not full bright, pretty dim. So you can adjust the brightness a little.
I think that it shouldn't be the word unequipped. I think it should be like
So,
equip or
yeah.
something like that.
So yeah, that'll do it. That's what I have so far on the Proton pack. And then just close it back up. You got the bumper plate here that you just gotta screw in for a bit. Give me a second.
Send it to Georgia. Send it to Georgia. I would not like to. I mean, granted that I've been in Georgia at weird
Boom.
times of day.
There we go. And it holds it very securely on there too.
But
So,
I'm sure
you know, there we go.
Just not the ones I've been
Switch
in,
camera
not
view.
2 a.m. There was another place I pulled up, all these cats in the parking lot at like.
You know what? I'm gonna say this is. In fact, I mentioned it on stream, but I think I'm gonna consider this Proton pack my 10K special because I started this channel with the Proton pack and accessories, so it's only fitting that I have the 10K special be like 10 years later or 15 or how many years it's been since my first Ghostbusters video on this, and you know, showcase it. Oh, if you think I'm going too far with these, oh, just you wait till I get to the ecto goggles. Oh, that too. Just wait till you get to the PK meter and the ghost trap. Those things are gonna have lights and sounds just like this. So I'm not holding anything back here, man. Everything's gonna have lights and sounds as best as I can make it. And I'll figure it out somehow. So. Oh, yeah, and of course the little doodad here, crank generator. It spins for the fun of it. Doesn't do anything, but it's a nice little detail I wanted to add in. But that's about it. Of all things, there we go. So, oh, yeah, this is I had to. There, I need to re-glue it, but after this, I should be good to finalize it. So there we go. In fact, now I can do this.
Various gameplay features at will and
there we go.
Like some sort of bad king. And I
now you can see the Proton pack in all its glory here. The cyclotron. Yeah. There we go.
I know I'm wrong.
God, it's a sight to behold. I could watch it all day, but I gotta go to sleep, like I said yesterday. Actually, no. I'm gonna end it out with y'all get to see the lights. So, I like to sometimes sleep with this on as a night light. I'm not gonna lie. I would love to have a wall unit so I can hang it there. Because this thing is pretty light. It's only like, what, 5-10 pounds? Get some dedicated hooks, put on the shelf so it's like a backdrop for my videos. Just chilling there, doing its thing. But yeah, there we go. That's that's the current progress of the Ghostbusters Proton pack. I'm hoping to finish it this week. And then start to work on the Neutrino wand, which I already scaled at work. So I already have a blueprint of what to do. I don't have to keep fiddling about with measurements. So that's going to be fun. So, as I said before, my name is Tailman. I was happy for her. I was not happy for fur. And as always, you guys, be chill. Oh yeah, and thanks for coming to the stream, and I'll catch you guys later. So, yeah, be chill. Alright, and of course I don't have a stream deck, so there's this awkward. This part never happened where you see me actually end the stream. Give me a second. You didn't see this part. This is just your imagination, bro.
I used to engage zombies out in the open. However, at the same time, too, like, look at how much better I'm getting with the blunts.
Oh! Hold on. Yeah, the 3K Gatling gun. Yeah, that was the one made out of paper and all that. And I don't have that one anymore, but I remember that one. That one was a little bit crazy.
I miss when this was like, yep, that's.
Yes, do side by side. Oh yeah. Oh, unfortunately, I don't have my old Proton pack anymore. I had to toss it for the sake of space. I deeply regret doing that. Oh, I'm so mad I threw it away, but I had to do it because I needed space in my room. I'm so mad I threw it away, God. I'm so mad. Anyways, hopefully I won't do it with this one. I learned my mistake. But yeah. You guys have a good night. Again. And I'll catch you around.